Hey guys, we're back, and you're still here too. So I guess you got the best of both worlds.
Starting on a high note, I see.
Sorry, I needed something, and that was just really that was literally off the cuff. So I mean, you got the captain and the commander. Again, the best of both worlds. Yes, yes, no, maybe, but it's only part one.
Wow. So basically, you have to find a part two for that joke next time. The second part of Best of Both Worlds.
I will endeavor to do so. I'll try. And no, we're not early, Jeff. We're bang on time.
Exactly on time. I was here. I was waiting. I was ready. Even though my setup's now different, it's weird. I had to move stuff for a thing tomorrow. All of the environment feels different. It's weird. Not that you can see, but it's weird for me.
Yeah, I can't tell. So, anyway, guys, welcome back. We're going to be looking at the last episode, or the season finale for season 3 of TNG today. We're going to be looking at Best of Both Worlds Part 1. So we're not doing Part 1 and Part 2 together. Just so you guys are aware, don't be disappointed at the end.
I mean, we were pretty blatant. But we'll have to probably have like an epic end and then...
Yeah.
Part 2.
And about 10, 15 minutes before the end of the review, I'm going to have to get abducted and leave. And you're going to handle this all on your own, aren't you?
Yeah, and I will try and kill you as tradition dictates. But who
Right,
knows?
right at the very end. That's how we're going to end this thing. We already got it.
I'll say, Siri, target those missiles on Stuart's house. Siri, fire. Or I can use the Iron Man missile thing from Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
There you go. Hi Stuart, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm okay.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, I can
All right,
start
Mark
straight away.
Lawrence.
Oh no, yeah.
You can. I'm going to read the super chats first. Mark Lawrence puts in $5. Woo! I'm going to make it to the live stream, but at a painful cost. LOL.
Aw.
And that was like 4 hours ago. So I don't know if he's here right now, but hey, Mark, and what is the painful cost? It's not a good way to leave us.
Yeah.
Scottish Trekkie, £20. Thank you very much.
Wow. Amazing.
Hey, Trekyards, at Captain Foley and Commander Cockings, this £19 is to you guys. I'm so sorry I can't make it tonight. I was working in the morning, Friday at 10 a.m. Best of Both Worlds is one of my best ever episodes of TNG. Okay, one of your favorites, I guess, or the favorite, maybe. We're the Borg, I guess, the favorite, simulated by his superior commander and his captain, Foley skeleton hands. What? I cut out there, didn't I? I can tell by the look on your face.
We have to do multiple voices for that, I think, for Aussie's thing.
Oh. Hold on just 1 second here.
But yes, guys, super chat if you can. This is a big one, so it's obviously a big audience here, and a big super chat. As you know, as the as the one before our big drunk live on Saturday. Oh.
And lastly, Olivia Julius throws in $20. It's awesome. This episode is brought to you in part by Instacaptain. Are you a first officer who dreams of a life in the center chair, but your captain won't promote you? I don't know. Are you, Samuel?
I've turned down the command 43 times already, so I mean...
There you go.
You know what I mean? I've accepted it. You know, I've actually turned down the Admiralty 3 times. I just said, screw it, we'll skip you if that'll entice you. I said, nope. Don't want it.
It goes on to say, try Instacaptain, and you'll find yourself in command. Just don't ask us how. This message is not, sponsored by Trekyards because I don't want to die, and no, I would suggest not buying this product because I like being the captain. But anyway, Jill is here with an awesome name, folded with a winning hand, $2.12. Captain Picard calls Admiral Hansen JP.
That stood out,
Yes.
certainly, in this one.
Yes.
But since we don't know who the guy is, and he seems somewhat mellow, but yeah, that was a stark, like, oh,
Yeah.
But it also didn't feel natural, particularly for him to say, you know.
Yeah.
It didn't roll off his tongue, but, you know.
Jeff Jacobs, $2, 50 and under 5. See what happens when on time. Hashtag make Jeff pay. And that's awesome, guys. We have 98 of you here already, which is fantastic. And hopefully we got a few more. But anyway, if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. And now's the part where Samuel goes and shares this around so we get more viewers.
Yes, sir, Mr. Doomed to die soon, sir. What?
I'm not going to die. I'll be back. Maybe? I don't know. We don't know if the viewers like Captain Foley, so I don't know if I'm going to be back for the next round of reviews. So that was very much the case with this one, but Hedrickster wasn't sure if he was going to be returning. Anyhow, on that note, guys, if you want to support the channel and see me back, or have us back to do more great content for you guys, you can support the channel by clicking the links down below. There's a bunch of them. You can head over to Patreon, help us that way on a monthly basis, or click that join button right beside the subscribe button. Join at the rank of Commander, Captain, or Admiral, and maybe you guys can outrank us or be the same rank as us immediately. It's another great way to support the channel. Another great way, of course, is Super Chats. As you've seen, we've got a bunch of great Super Chats this live already. Our regulars are fantastic at delivering, and we love you all. If you're new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed. That's another great way. Share the video around, and just hit that like button. Also great ways to support and help us out. We really appreciate all of those things. And don't forget, there's also the Teespring store down in the description below where you can save yourself. No, that's for the Legal Moss thing. Where you can go and get some Trekyards merchandise. Lots of great, cool stuff there. And don't forget, there is Eagle Moss discount code of Trekyards10, which will save you 10% off any orders through Eagle Moss. So all that information is down in the description below. It's worth checking that stuff out on a regular basis because it can save you money, and it's a good way to help us out. So anyway, back to the chat. We want Captain Foley to return. Dun 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 dun. Cool. Resistance is futile. You will be entertained. Well, hopefully. We make no promises here. We try to entertain you. Whether we succeed or not, that's left to people a lot more intelligent than I. Stelio, you can get this as a feature-length Blu-ray as well. Yeah, the copy that I was using was the HD, and it blended seamlessly. So as soon as Riker says fire, you see the deflector fire, and it's like, no, stop. Got to stop right there. Not really happy with that. I kind of like the dun 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 at the end of the original part 1. So, it was a little bit. I wanted to watch the rest, unfortunately, because like I said, I was watching the HD version, and it doesn't break. If he says fire and you see the deflector fire, it's like no, that's not what happened.
What do you mean? What?
For the end of part 1.
In what? Well, how are you watching it?
I was watching the HD version.
On what?
Computer.
Okay, because I was on Blu-ray. It did stop.
I wasn't on Blu-ray. I was on the computer. So he says fire, and you see the deflector fire. It's like, no. That's not cool.
That's weird.
Not copacetic at all. There's like no break.
You
so
need
you don't
the
get
break.
the dun 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 dun.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know.
And I want to clarify one brief thing here. I am actually going to review this as a part 1 without knowing what happens in part 2, because that would be unfair. We do the reviews like with Picard Discovery and such. We don't know what's going to happen later. So I'm going to very much review this as a single episode. I know where it goes, but they didn't know where it goes. So you definitely can't judge it by the part 2 standards. They hadn't written part 2.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. So it is. I'm just saying, part 1 review, and part 2 might improve part 1, might make part 1 worse. I'm just saying that I'm not doing this as like a retrospective. It's a solid review. Dad, did you mention about channel membership, Stuart? Because that is a really useful thing. Like really useful.
Guys, did I mention about channel membership during that? You're goddamn right, I did. It's what I do, man. It's what I do. Dementia, $2. Your memes and jokes will be assimilated. But yeah, so
okay,
let's get into this.
Now, do you remember this one live? Because this must have been more of a... Okay, good. What was the first reaction live then? Anything.
It was a nail biter. You weren't sure what was going to happen. I mean, they've already killed off Tasha. You don't know if characters are going to survive this or not. I honestly thought Shelby was going to become part of the crew. I thought that perhaps Riker was going to get promoted to captain and she was going to become the commander, which would have made a great dynamic between the two of them, as we see in this one. And I remember people being pissed at this. This was the first cliffhanger in Star Trek history. And everybody said, you don't have to do that. We're going to come back next season regardless. You don't have to leave us on a cliffhanger. And everybody was mad about this. They were pissed. And the writers kind of were in the same situation. They wrote themselves into a corner. And they didn't know, they didn't know how they were going to fix this. And Patrick Stewart didn't know if he was coming back for season 4. He wasn't sure if his character was liked enough at this point because there was still a lot of controversy around his character. But having just reviewed season 3, there's a lot of great Picard in there. So I don't know why it was such a concern,
honestly,
but it was.
I think this is one of the least good Picard episodes. This is not a good Picard episode. So I'm glad he stayed because he got lots better to do after this. But it's not about Picard, is it? It's about Locutus, if anything. Okay, now is it? So, do you remember? So, it was memorable at the time. Now, did you like it at the time? Where were you in the camp of the "oh my god" or "ow, or ah"? If you recall.
Like I said, it was a nail biter. I was terrified that things were going to change. I didn't want them to. I remember making the comment because I was 16, 17, whatever I was, stupid age. I remember making the comment that to my brothers, it'd be all right if Shelby was around. I kind of like her bouncy personality, if you know what I mean. Because I was, a dumb teenager. But that being said, looking back on her character, I'm not a big fan of Shelby. She's all right, but I think she'd get quite abrasive. I think they would have toned her down had she stayed, of course. But yeah, so I remember that. I remember some stupid. And just the speculation as to what would happen. Yeah. Half the ship would be blown away with the deflector and Locutus would still survive.
I hadn't considered that, yeah. And then what's been your sort of overall... I mean, do you watch this one with a sense of appreciation going forward? When was the last time you saw this? Have you seen it in HD on the Blu-rays yet? I mean, this is my first time watching it in HD on a big screen, surround sound. So it was very much my, re-watching. I mean, is this one you sort of watch regularly, or is it...
Actually, no. It's one that, even though it's so good and the first cliffhanger, it's not one that I really go back and revisit because I know how it turns out. There's no there's no tension anymore. It gets diffused within the first 30 seconds of the next episode. It's god damn.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean I haven't actually watched it on HD before this.
So this is a nice sort of first watch in a sense for both of us, or first rewatch.
Yeah.
I've got some more super chats, which is great, and that was a really interesting ramble.
Sorry, I tended.
No, it's really interesting. Because I mean, guys left an impression on you because obviously I don't have that sort of back memory.
Yeah.
So awesome, thank you.
Super chats. Ian Smith, $10. Evening, guys. I was 4 when this episode aired. It was my earliest Trek memory, and it ruined my summer looking for the next episode. Saw part 1 and part 2 in theaters a few years ago, and it was amazing. Yeah, Sylvia and myself also saw it in theaters when it came to theaters, and it was really, really good on the big screen. It felt cinematic, for sure. And yes, the ruining the summer thing, absolutely. It was definitely something that was a pain in the ass that summer. Andrew Sepp puts in $5.
Thank you.
I joined the U.S. Army that year. I saw the first part. I was in basic and had to wait till December to watch part 2 at my training station during reruns.
Yeah.
As it just was new too. That sucks. Having to wait for reruns would be kind of shitty. You guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, good. You're frozen on my screen. That's why I'm asking.
Oh.
Ian Smith, $2.
Thanks.
Still one of my favorite Trek stories of all time. Yals? And Erevik Sonder, $5. Just rewatched before the stream. It's been years, and I still got chills.
Yeah, finished 5 minutes ago. Okay, then. In this rewatch, what did you think, Stuart? Having now done a really in-depth rewatch up until now.
I was amazed how good this was. This was standout. And I was also watching Picard's performance because I was looking, he'd read the... Still, he's going to leave on a high note because any Picard moments were very commanding, very, typical Picard. There was no change in the character, really. He didn't get much to do, but I think it was interesting to see that perspective and just know in his mind that he wasn't sure what was going to happen.
Well, you can tell the dialogue. There's a nice meta quality to it.
Yeah. So this rewatch, I really appreciated it. Seeing it in HE was great. I just wish I could have kept watching it. Because, like I said, I was watching the stitched together one, and it's just, there's no break after he says, Mr. Worf, fire, which is a bit of a shame. So yeah, it was a fantastic watch, and I'm really looking forward to part 2. I want to see what happens.
Yes, the long wait will be over. Oh, yeah.
We got 2 more super chats. Ozzy Madero's $5. I love the episode. My parents and I watched it together when it came out. I was in my mid-20s, skeleton hands. And James McGill, $2. Do you know the history behind Picard's Borg name? I don't. I just love the meme or whatever. I am the cutest of Borg. Because it's kind of what it sounds like if you're not really paying attention.
I like that.
Yeah. No, I don't know the history of the name. Sorry.
Worth asking any of the teams. That's interesting.
I would think. Hold on. Sorry. I would think Locutus. I would think Locust, and they're like a swarm because they're the. That would be my thought on it, but honestly,
it's not like assimilate tricks of Borg. It's like, yes, you are. You know.
Christopher Rowland says Locutus means one who speaks. What's Latin for one who speaks? Oh, it's one who speaks for many. Okay, got that. There you go.
They're logical people, and it just sounds kick-ass too. So yeah, like I said, this is my first time rewatching this in a lot of years, and just like you know the story, you know the payoff, you know all of it. So it's not one that you necessarily rewatch for fun. I think this one doesn't hold up anywhere as well as other ones we've seen this season, and it was kind of odd to rewatch it. I think this one kind of suffers from it being 25 years, 30 years after. You know, there's a lot of like. Well, because it's also like a backdoor pilot, in a sense. You know, not knowing if Riker's going to pack. They dedicate a lot of time to Shelby and Riker, which is ultimately wasted, which doesn't go anywhere. And it's time that it could have been used for better things, and it just wasn't. And in this episode, it feels kind of full of stuff, but at the same time, because lots of moments when they're fighting the Borg, and they just lose, but don't get killed, and they run away, and then there's also these moments where they're trying to get from A to B, but they don't want to give too much time the journey, and so it kind of falls flat. Like the time the Borg cube, you know, the way they just attack the Borg cube, and then somehow escape over time. And the way they're on the bridge, they say shields down, and they don't react at all. And it's like, well, you're gonna die, I guess, and no one cares. But then because they know they're gonna escape in the script, there's a real disconnect with how risky the situation is and what they're doing. They even say at the start, you know, take 24 months to get the weapons up. So basically, you have nothing new, and they know they can't be effective yet. They go right in and then attack it, does nothing. Then they leave and they get captured, and they don't get. It just is a big disconnect, I think, because they just couldn't budgetarily show it. You know, and they had to keep doing things, but none of them were quite good. And when the Borg beam over, it's a massively lackluster scene of like, "Hello, I am a slow-standing man." Like the crew in the background don't even react to the beaming. They can like completely oblivious. Again, disconnect. And if Data's on the bridge, why isn't he reacting to the Borg? He doesn't do a damn thing. And then when they go on the Borg cube at the end, the Borg feel the most pointless non-villain of how they aren't attacking them. Like there's such a bad edit of they're coming towards the team, and then Picard's revealed, and then I guess the guys that were coming at them move out of the way to let Worf go get him, who doesn't react. Like the ending is really messy with how they edited it. And yeah, it's just it needed like double the budget. So it doesn't. It's missing a lot of those notes that would make it really good. It's like the story's great, but they couldn't properly realize it.
I think the problem is that it was not a full story. They didn't know how they were ending it yet. They only wrote the first half, and that's why you get a lot of the scenes with focusing on Riker's command, how he's turned down so many commands, and
which is fine by itself, but
well, it's leading into an escape route for the writers that yes, Picard dies, he accepts command of the Enterprise. The same with the Shelby thing, the Shelby and Riker tension, that's there for that, and then in part 2 they're like, oh no, we figured it out, and Shelby just falls away, and we never see her again, which is a bit of a shame. I would like her to come back at some point. And
it's like you'd think if this was the epic, like okay, so if you said to anybody, talk about best of both worlds, you say Picard's assimilated, they fight the Borg. You're never going to mention the Shelby Riker dynamic. maybe like fifth or like maybe there's Shelby in it, but you're not going to go into detail because it doesn't matter. And it's so packed in. Like I said, it's a backdoor pilot, and so it's filled with stuff that doesn't matter. And then they have to rush the Borg stuff. A lot of it. It's strange. It's really strange. Like the bits that are good are really good, but it's filled with weird stuff. And like I say, the Borg don't feel like a big threat in this.
Well, they hadn't been established yet. We know what comes later, and that's the problem. We've only seen them once before, and they were pretty menacing. Like I said, first watching this, you're like terrified. That this is not, because we saw what they did to the Borg ship in the last one, and this one they make a point of saying with 78% of the Borg ship destroyed, it'll still be functional. And we barely made a dent last time, so it was quite a nail biter, as I said.
But they still have no effect on anything. The Borg don't ever they take the shields down 4 times before they beam aboard. There's no reason they don't assimilate them at any point. They're just, like I say, they're no threat. They're really lackluster.
And the other problem is, the closest help is 6 days away. That's great. All of a sudden the Borg start heading towards Earth. You're not telling me that doesn't shorten that time. Yeah, we're going to make a stand at Wolf 359, but there's got to be other ships that once they're like heading towards that direction that are going to be able to intercept and help. And
that made me laugh because time is also a really weird thing this episode. It feels like it takes place, during 2 days? 3? Pretty quick.
Yeah, a few days, yeah.
But they drop off Shelby, and then, let's say it's the Hood. It's not the Hood, but let's say Admiral on the Hood. He leaves. And then he calls them, the next day saying, nearest help was 6 days away. You were just there! You're like a half a day away. You are absolutely... I know he won't necessarily want to go there, but you are absolutely in range. Why aren't you turning back to help? You know what I mean? There's a disconnect. And then they go to Earth, and yet you would think, there'd be... Because they say 6 days to Earth, 6 days near a ship. Well, if the Borg cube is that far from Earth, the tension's broken, because are they going to spend 4 days at warp chasing it? You know what I mean? It's like the immediacy instantly gets removed with how far away they are. And I honestly forgot, there's a battle next episode. I was trying to think of the next part, but they really stretch out the next part. They're on their way to Earth. They're going to get to Earth really quickly. They don't. They really pad that.
The one thing I like as a ship guy is the fact that they're chasing the Borg at warp 9.6.
Yes.
And they say, it's only another 2 hours of this. We got to shut down.
Yep.
So they don't have that staying power, and that's what we focus on a lot with our Trekyards Originals guys. You can't maintain that high warp for that long, or there's got to be some kind of trade-off, right? So that's interesting to see that in here. So,
and I appreciate the Borg can't outrun them, whereas they're just going the max speed, but it can there's no sense of they can just keep zooming. Stuff I like that the music really holds up. The music is really, really good. The Borg miniature really holds up. That I liked a lot. The matte painting at the start was really good, actually. And it felt incredibly dense. It kept having new scenes of new things, which led to a lot of non-focused bits because they kept moving around. But I'm like, is this only 45 minutes? It felt like an hour, 60 minutes easily.
I disagree. I was getting near the end of where it was supposed to end. I felt like 20 minutes had gone by. It was just... It was hitting those points for me. It was just keeping my interest, and it did feel a lot shorter than the 45 minutes that it was.
Well, it kept my interest too. I sort of forgot the middle bits, so I knew the start and the end, but they kept going.
Yeah. 171 watching, which is great, guys. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that like button, and if you can help us out with super chats or just helping the channel with any of the links down below, or joining the channel, please do so, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome.
I think someone's mentioned it before, but this is nothing compared to Yesterday's Enterprise, on a level. That held up amazingly well, but as you said, it was very focused. This absolutely stings of not focused, and I just don't think it holds up anywhere near as well,
Yeah. Squadron Course puts in $2. Great criticism. Love the episode, but it's not my fave. Yeah.
What I think this benefits from is both parts watched together, right?
Yes,
you just get to
100%.
burn through it. You don't think about the middle stuff. The Shelby stuff pays off in the same hour, and you remember the story, not the individual scenes. You just move past it. Whereas this Enterprise, every scene is memorable. Every moment is memorable. It's all really rich. This is not rich in the same way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's get into it, man. We should start off with the star date because it's important.
Ooh.
This is pinnacle moment, right? 43989.1. Just that's when it starts. There you go. So they've responded to a distress signal from one of the Federation's outmost colonies. The Tiger Man show just joined the channel at the rank of commander, so welcome. Thank you very much. That means a lot. Joining the channel really helps us out. So,
and that's a great name. It's a random name. I love it.
Yeah.
What's the background of that name? 'Cause it's a cool name.
Probably Tiger Joe or whatever that stupid show is that I haven't seen yet.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. Tenchi 2K7 $10. I will support Trekyards. Resistance is futile. It is futile. Everybody super chat.
It is.
So yes, they're going to investigate the colony that's been silent for a little while. Nothing on the surface. Now, this is a problem for me because they can see the house in the one episode, but they can't see a goddamn colony's missing and scooped out. Especially the transporter chief, who's like, "Oh yeah, I put you down in the center of town." Really? Okay, they got the coordinates. Are you not scanning? Transporters can scan the area, see the room and stuff, right?
Because you know how later they can long range scan a Borg cube, and then within 45 seconds it's in visual range.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas in this, they don't long range scan the planet to detect no life signs and no, it's for the reveal, but yeah, it doesn't play well because if this is the distress call place, you'd at least do one scan first. You wouldn't wait to scan with the tricorders. And also, the way they beam down as well is so ridiculous. They're like, "Where are we?" It's like, there's nothing. Like, you're a destroyed area. What are you not seeing here? There's nothing here, Riker. Why are you not react? Like, they should have beamed. I'm like, my God, but rather like, are we in the right place?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, all they said is there's been no communication for over 12 hours from the colony. Captain Nucleon puts in £1. That's an awesome name, by the way.
Yeah. And a good Green Lantern logo.
Yeah, looks like it. So sensors aren't picking up any sign of life. The surface environment is safe for transport, Commander. So they beam down. And are you sure this is the right coordinates for New Providence Colony? That's the name of the colony. And yep, verified you're in the center of town. Is it just me? Or should they not be in the middle of a friggin' crater? If that's the center of town, why is one part scooped out, but they're on a piece of grass and rock? Like, what the hell was center of town like? It must have been a shithole.
I think Bashir. I think O'Brien doesn't know what the word center means. I mean, honestly,
that's not good for your transporter chief, man.
Honestly, I think we can both tell this script will be either written in a hurry, quickly rewritten, or it doesn't have, that's an instant obvious mistake, which is, it doesn't quite work. But it's a great matte painting, and the level of pan, which tells you the detail level of that matte painting, I'm not going to say it holds up in the same way like a modern thing would, but it has just the same effect as it did. Like, that is an impressive level, and I wish that was on every week. That level of custom is really quite cool. It's only a one-shotter. The amount of effort put in for that.
In real life, or in the YouTube channel, how it should have happened or ended, according to O'Brien's logic, they would have beamed in the center of the crater, but at the same ground level, and then fallen 50 feet into the fucking crater. Because
that's good. I like that.
It makes no sense.
I like that. Yeah. That'd have been a cool scene. That'd have maybe set the wrong tone going in. But
splat. Oh, we sent all our good guys too.
No, it's fine. You can re-pattern buffer their goo in and just restore to the old pattern. It's fine. Yeah, they'll learn from it. They'll edge of tomorrow it. Now, I know they say later on, but I want to address it now because we're looking at the visual. They say the Borg have entered our space, but we explicitly know it was the Borg that created cutouts across the neutral zone in a Federation space. So the fact they react to us as a first, I guess that was a retcon, but it was always meant to be the linked creatures. So the fact they're so surprised, it's like, you literally deduced this and went to these planets 2 years ago a couple of times, and you talked to the Romulans a little bit. Again, there's a disconnect there with their earlier seasons, as if, I guess they don't expect us to have watched those because continuity, but did that not seem a bit weird to you?
It's very weird. Yeah. Even just a Borg ship roaming around the neutral zone, scooping up outposts, just makes no sense anyway. So, without actually attacking, right?
Yeah.
Anyway. Anyway, so yeah, Admiral Hansen comes on board with Lieutenant
Not
Commander
6 days away.
Not 6 days away.
Although if he's the only ship in that sector, he went a long way, because that cannot go full warp, like, compared to that. How long did he take to travel there?
Good question. Oh, well, we got a start date for this one, too. Maybe somebody can figure it out. 43992.6. So I don't know how much later that is. But, yeah, so Lieutenant Commander Shelby is with Starfleet Tactical, which is very cool to hear. Okay. And they're here to basically find out what happened to the remains of New Providence Colony and the 900 inhabitants. 900 people are gone. And then he goes on to say, we're not ready for the Borg. We thought we had a lot more lead time. They were 7,000 light years away when you ran into them. We've been working, but we're not anywhere near prepared for this. Even though we've known for over a year that... Anyway, we've known for over a year that they're coming. Go ahead.
We have weapons... Lots of weapons being designed, but they're all still on paper.
Yeah.
And Demon Sesha has a great comment for O'Brien. He's like, sorry, Captain, we lost the entire command staff.
Yeah.
It's good.
Wow. Charles, $2. New show, transporter jokes and blunders on stocks. Yeah, no kidding, eh?
Yeah. No, this is a good scene. I like the Admiral. I like Shelby in this scene. It feels instantly unusual to see a woman in red as a primary. Like everyone here is in red, which is you know what I mean? A little bit unusual. So it's like they're setting something up, which I liked. But it's a good reiteration of the plot. But even them saying we thought we had more time, I wish they'd been a bit more unknown, as if they were thinking, as if one admiral, when they reported the Borg, said, right, I'm going to guess we have 3 years. Everyone go with that? Okay, great, we have 3 years, go. And it's like, you know what I mean? There's no time scale to expect for anything. Like, it could even be they'll never come get us. So, you know what I mean? There's a slight, again, weird, it's like, well, whereas an Enterprise, at least they know they're on their way. You know? So being that far behind. Yeah.
Also find out that Commander Shelby's, she took over the tactical Borg analysis 6 months ago.
She's
been working on this for 6 months.
On Borgs.
Even though never having met one. She's only read Riker's reports.
Or seen a ship. Yep.
Yeah.
In theory. She's a simulations gal.
Yeah, but she's against the Borg, so... obviously, we have nothing now that can stop them. We've been designing new weapons, but they're still on the drawing boards. And yeah. Let's see here. And then she'd like to see the colony site right away, because there's a Borg footprint that they talk about in a second, as far as missions go.
That would have been a good time to mention the Romulan neutral zone. Just saying.
Yeah. Would have been. Well, they mentioned J27 or whatever, which is exact same conditions as the colony here. But
okay. Yeah, that's
Riker shoots her down and says it'll be dark there in 30 minutes, so we'll schedule for dawn. And then poker night. He invites the Admiral, totally disses Shelby, and the Admiral's like, "No, we got a lot to talk about. Take her. She's played a hand or two." So.
Well, I get the sense that's more like he knows the Admiral, like he served on one of his ships, etc. He doesn't know the Shelby, so, like I didn't think anything of that, like she's completely an unknown officer to him. But it was very informal. Like, inviting an Admiral to play poker? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, how would Wesley feel, who's new? He walks in, it's my first poker game. It's an Admiral. Do I let the Admiral win? What do I do here, Geordie? Just you crap anyway, just be you. Okay, fair.
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit of creepiness here. She's one impressive young lady. You seem rather taken with her, JP. Just an old man's fantasies. It's like, oh.
Yeah, that was a little bit inappropriate. Yeah. But at least he jumps right into saying there was a whole team, they weren't doing so great, and then she literally walked in, straightened them all out, and now we're on a good course. So it is a good setup to a character, but like you said, it's theoretical.
Yeah.
And we just rewatched, their first contact with the Borg. They do nothing impactful anyway. Like, nothing they do works. So what can you gather from 100% failure? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Area 51, $5. If I was Picard, I'd be itching to kick Riker off the ship and bring her in. And Jeff Jacobs, $2. 100. Sweet. We should get to 200. We'll pay at 150. So, guys, 175 of you here. If you haven't hit the like button, hit it.
Yeah. We're 103. Come on, at least 110. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Click like. It's free. Do it.
Yeah. So this is where they have the conversation about Riker. You know, how Shelby's a hell of a first officer. Oh, yes. And he's like, well, I have a hell of a first officer. And apparently Riker hasn't even told him about the Melbourne commission that they offered him. And he's like, you should probably kick Riker in the ass because there's a lot of up-and-comers like Shelby that are going to make him look like he's standing still. This is the third time we pulled out the captain's chair for him, and he refuses to sit down. I love that line.
Yeah. Well, but in reality, Riker is the hero of the story. He's a primary. And so there's so much. I mean, it's a good for his depth in the grand scheme. Goddamn, I wish they would start saying he's given the command of the Melbourne. You know, the old Miranda class. You know, the old New Orleans class. Give us bloody names, like class names, because they just say. Well, I'd love to hear names on these ships.
Isn't the Melbourne the one that Data ends up commanding for a brief time? I think it's a Nebula class. Crassus puts in £5. The scene with J.P. Hansen should get a redub, so he calls Picard JL whenever he gets called JP.
I couldn't help but hear that, yeah. So there's two, but yeah, it was a well. Basically, put it this way, Stuart. This is like one of the meta jokes. Thank goodness he didn't take command of the Melbourne
because it gets destroyed. Yes, it gets
destroyed. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is actually a good scene. It's a good setup, and I mean, I think we underestimate Riker. He was offered a captaincy in season 1. Okay, yes, it was by the Admiral who wanted someone in, fair enough. But 3 captaincies in at least 3 years. That means he's a captain-level officer on this flagship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's already like the top tier. Most people don't become captains. Like, this guy is absolutely too qualified for this role. And, you know what I mean? And this guy's a really good officer. But to say no 3 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can see what the Admiral's saying. Like, he's damaging his career.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to, what are we going to do with him?
I mean, I think Kim would take any of those promotions. Kim gets refused promotion for 7 years, and Riker gets 3 captaincy offers into 3 years, Terrible.
Anyway, down in her quarters, she's continuing talking to him, and she says, we've tested sections of the Enterprise hull that were damaged by the Borg, and there was an unusual magnetic resonance trace. That's where they talk about the Borg footprint, and in theory, when they go down tomorrow, they should be finding the same thing at the colony site. So she's picked the away team, which is the exact same away team that Riker's picked. And I love the friction between these two because it would piss me off to no end as well if I was in Riker's position. But at the same time, I see her point of view, wanting to make that impression and be an up-and-comer.
It's the way it's the way she says one line, which is, and he's like, I know I'll be there. And she says, yes, I'll appreciate any help you can offer. And it's like, no, Commander Shelby, you're here to help me and my team. I'm not here to help you and your team. That one distinction shows that she's already too big for her britches. Like, she doesn't understand the chain of command. And the Admiral actually said last scene, I've learned to let her do her own thing. So she's not used to a chain of command properly for a bit. She's been used to just ordering people, even captains and such. People that are more experienced, she's come in and done her job. So she's seeing the chain of command as well, I mean, I'm the specialist, so I outrank the guy who's my commanding officer. Oops. So she's instantly in the wrong, and the way she says it is so used to old command. So Riker's like, this is going to be a problem, And it's really interesting to see how he deals with her, because no one's in the wrong, but she's not doing the correct thing in terms of officerialness. It's pretty interesting.
That's how you get those promotions in the fast track. Is you take the initiative, you do the things. You don't just wait till you get ordered. You take command.
But you shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't assume you have more power than you do.
No. But she knows that he's been offered a captaincy, and she even says, how's it working on the Enterprise? Because I'm thinking of talking to Picard about becoming his new first officer. Like, she's already itching for this position.
Well, she's trying to make her bed here.
It's the flagship. She wants to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, anyway, he invites her to poker at 1,700 hours in his quarters decade. Lookout Tower radio, though, £2.
Thank you.
The Wolf 359 battle had 2 USS Melbourne ships. Oops. Yeah, even if he had accepted, they wouldn't get him on board and in command before they could,
Well, we don't know when the offer was.
That's true. It is true.
I would have assumed at least a week or two, but yeah.
Yeah. Jersey at $5. Really wanted to get off early today, but on the hottest day of the year, management keeps me 30 minutes late for reasons. Very annoying.
All right.
But reasons are a thing. I missed a super chat from Jeff. He's complaining. Jeff Jacobs, $2. I am Pacutus of Maine. You will hit like hashtag make Picard make Pacutus pay. Blah, blah, blah.
Wow, he's a smart man. Although quickly, Area 51 is a great something else about Kim, but I like the way he said it. I wonder if when Ensign Kim reads news from home and hears all promotions Riker's turned down and says, "What the fuck is his problem?" I like that.
Toss some of those my way, man.
Yeah.
David Bessick puts in $35.09.
Woo!
That is awesome. Thank you. $35.09 in memory of all the brave men and women who have and are about to lose their lives at the Battle of Wolf 359, the worst military disaster in Starfleet history. Rest in peace. Yeah. Rest in peace.
And we only see in DS9. And the board game. They do a little more board game.
And Jersey throws in another $5. Also, Riker is one of what? 3 people to have been on a Borg cube. Riker is more of an expert. Shelby is an analyst. Absolutely. She's a pencil pusher as far as he's concerned, a behind-the-desk kind of person that doesn't have the field experience. He's got a lot more, on-the-job experience with the Borg. So,
I mean, it's fair to say, though, obviously, that holodecks can recreate. So I'm sure she spent more woman hours or whatever on, I mean, I don't think Riker's really spent much time thinking about the Borg after they dealt with them. Like, he did it, he moved on, whatever. But Shelby's probably done, hundreds of simulations. So, yes, in theory, but she's coming in thinking she knows everything. And obviously, I do know that the deflector thing fails. I do remember that. So, her strategy isn't particularly effective, and I would argue the, source step's a stupid idea as well, but can't all be great ideas.
Well, that pays off, the stupid idea for the saucer separation thing.
But later. For a different reason, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Squadron Course puts in $2. This super chat's Borg designation is $2 of $4, which means we're probably getting another super chat. Or did you already send one? Maybe that's what it was. Avenue Pad, $5 Canadian. Thank you very much. Nice reference to this episode in Star Trek Picard that Raffi calls Jean-Luc JP. Makes sense.
JL, because it's Jean-Luc.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Makes sense where Picard is back on Earth and Admiral and more casual. I mean,
I don't think for a second that was a reference to this. I think they just thought it would be cool.
Yeah. She's got a familiarity with them and a closeness that we didn't see because it was off screen.
But they're playing poker.
Well, not a band account though. Puts in $2 in memoriam. USS Princeton, Wolf 359. Never forget. It's true. Cool. Yes. Anyway, poker. Yes. Go ahead.
And this is probably one of those scenes that if you were trying to focus it, you don't need this scene. This is a Riker Shelby setup scene, which again goes nowhere, does nothing. So in retrospect, you know what I mean? Like they're all fun to watch, but that's why I said about Picard. This is not a good Picard episode because he's barely in it. All he does stuff is in character, but it's not about him. He's really barely in it. I mean, he's fractionally in it. Like even Data, I mean, everyone's in it, but Picard's in it barely. But Riker's good.
And I love how West Folds and with 3 of a kind. What are you crazy? Got a lot to learn about poker, kid. I love that. But yeah, it turns out he was bluffing, and him and Shelby kind of went at it, and he was bluffing. So she gets the upper hand.
I love the way Shelby calls him. It's the most casual, friendly. Like she thinks she's so ahead of this game that she's not even confident. She's just chill, oh yeah, I think you're bluffing. Let's play. Whereas Riker takes it really seriously, and in the games he'd be looking at the opponent, and be like, "What are you gonna do, Wesley?" She's just like, "Oh yeah, I'll try." Throwing the money away. He's like, I can't even play because she'll just flippantly do it. Mm-hmm. So I like that it's an odd interplay, but it's good. It's Well,
yeah. Her exact line was, "Well, I've only got 2 pair, but I've got to see your whole card."
But the way she says it is great. It's so chill. Yeah. So chill. Yeah.
David Deister puts in $10.
Oh wow, thank you.
The Dominion War and the loss of Romulus would be another blunder even worse than Wolf 359.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Single battle. I mean, Wolf 359 is a massacre.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing short of. Dominion War is a brutal... more ships were lost in Dominion War, but obviously it was a long span. And, Romulus... Let's not talk about Romulus. That's a confusing mess.
And Zachary Gibbons, rest in peace to Sisko's first wife who died at the Battle of Wolf 359.
I'm sure we'll mention it next time, because it hasn't happened yet.
He was on the Melbourne.
No, he wasn't. Saratoga.
He was... Was it? Okay, I thought it was the Melbourne for some reason. He was first officer, but yeah. Olivia Julius, $20. Another sponsor.
Oh.
Captain's Protection Program. It's like an insurance program. Do you fear your first officer but can't demote him? Give us a call. We'll find ways to demote him all the way down to the point where he's saluting Chief O'Brien. I can do that myself. So. Anyway, yes, so they show up in the transporter room and Data and Shelby are tardy. They're not here. Oh no, they beamed down an hour ago, sir. On whose orders? Hers? Because she outranks me, so... Yep.
Yeah, Bryce was like, well, her. Which is, what do you want? What? It's not something unusual? What?
Yeah. Yeah, which causes friction. Again, there's just no end to this.
Well, it's the entire point of the episode. This is more important almost than Locutus is making them have tension. It's in more scenes than the Borg are in, Yeah,
for this first half. We don't know what happens in the second half yet, though.
Well, I honestly don't remember everything, so I don't. But I will say, though, and I'm going to swap, because these scenes are so different and varied, I actually am going to side with Shelby here, for the most part. I think Data's not sleeping, he's not busy. She woke up early, she's ready to go. The storm makes sense. All she had to do was call Riker. That was her blunder. But her going down there early, I think is fine. I kind of find it funny that Geordi wasn't he plays it so chill. It would be nice to have a line saying, well, you're here early. It's I don't know. But the fact that she didn't bother to call Riker, because it feels like an intentional... It didn't slip her mind. Yeah. It's I don't need him. All I need is Data and me. I'm enough for this, and Data will be my...
You can tell that she set her alarm for 5:30 or 5 o'clock when the thing was going on at 7. She checked the weather reports and thought, yes, that's my end. Data, you're not sleeping. Let's go. She had this kind of plan that
she was going to be... You think it was planned?
She was going to be at least in the transporter room before he was.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, with the weather's front, maybe she decided to
it would have been... Oh, you know what would have been great? Just to push... put another needle in his brain. She should have said, I was doing my normal Itsujitsu thing, training at 5 a.m. The thing he used to do with his dad. And he's like, you play? I'm a black belt. He's like, just
I'm a red suit.
My dad was a red suit, yeah. She beats me in everything. So I'm okay with that they're early. And Riker is more just annoyed that she's not... Again, it's not what... Where's Stuart? Yeah, it's not what Shelby's doing, it's how she's doing it is the problem. She's forgotten the chain of command. That's the problem. It is disrespect to the chain of command and to Riker. But also, she's also not part of this crew. She's an outside officer who's got a lieutenant commander rank. So,
But she's a specialist. She's there for this particular reason.
Yes. Exactly.
Which sometimes trumps the crew as far as... Because it's mission specific. So...
It's a weird one, but it's the way she's doing it all.
Yeah. I love the scene with Data and Geordi. He's like, oh, there's no birds or worms. What? He's like, well, she did err. She did make a mistake. And anyway, yeah.
This is the Data cameo.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Dave L. Shelby's a bit like Pulaski. Not off to a good start. Not likeable. Maybe that's why she wasn't kept on. And Jill says she loves both Shelby and Pulaski. What do you think about that comparison? Because I hadn't considered that.
I disagree with it because Pulaski was meant to be somebody we're going to like, but a little bit gruff and have the Spock and McCoy dynamic with Data. So she didn't come on to be dislikable. It's just the way they wrote her that she came off that way. She was supposed to be gruff and grumpy like McCoy, but still friendly and lovable like McCoy, right? It didn't come off that way. Shelby's coming in firing all guns, And yeah, they didn't know what they were going to do with her, so she'd make an awesome first officer should they decide to bump her up in rank and replace Riker. But I don't like Shelby, and I don't know why. When I was younger, I liked her. Now that I'm older, I don't like her. I don't like her approach to things, but I get it, you know.
I think I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, but barely. I think Pulaski was written to be because she was written to be disrespectful at the start, and then they moved off that. So she was written to be a bit mean to Data, but it came off worse than they meant it. But she was intended to be a bit of a rub against them. Shelby is written to mean well. It's just they are writing as they go, and there's too many scenes of her where it's a one note of I know better, I'm doing it my way. Okay, let's get away with it. It's just because that's all she does this episode. She's smart, but too much, and disrespects Riker, but in a very sly yet official way. It's very strange. So I think she means almost better than Pulaski. She's not meanly racist or actively dismissive until right at the end with Riker. But she doesn't see what's going on. I think she's more oblivious than Pulaski. Pulaski knows what she's saying, but doesn't think anything of it.
Well, the problem is that the one thing that causes the most friction is Riker sees too much of his younger self in her. And we even make a point of that later when he talks to Diana. And a lot of times when you see characteristics of yourself in other people, it can either be a really good thing, become besties, or you really hate each other at first, and then eventually can become really good friends, or just never like the person because you see parts of them that you knew you were like subconsciously, and if that's how other people were seeing you, you're like, God damn it.
Like when Riker and Riker show up.
Yes.
They see too much of each other.
When Thomas shows up. Yeah. That's a great episode. And
that is a good one.
I would love to see how I react to myself at some point.
Yeah.
Probably hate myself.
It's interesting you say that, because when you go to Farpoint, which we just looked at, really, he's nowhere near the same as Shelby. Like when Picard says, you were like him when I first brought him aboard. No, he wasn't. He was way more respectful. Like, you were more mean, Picard, and you shot him down, he respected that and stopped. They were not, maybe when he was 10 years ago, but nowhere near the same. I do sees too much in him, in her, but I think it's more than that. I think it's, I see what I used to be, but I don't want to move on. I want to still be me, but you are showing me that I don't want the command anymore. I feel shit about that. It's not, if it was just Shelby, he'd respect her more, but it's because he knows this command offer that he's not going to take. Which, to your point earlier, she thinks he's taken it. So she's addressing him in you're old news, congrats. I'm your successor. Let's have fun. But he's stop overbearing.
You got your captain's offer, take it, because I'm here to replace you.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting sub dynamics. It's not necessarily written as well as it could be.
Yeah.
And it's too repetitive.
PCP 1701 puts in $20.
Oof, thank you.
Check out Shelby's facial expressions. What plotting? Great acting. Yeah.
She's definitely good with her face.
I think if she had gone on, though, you would have found out that she's actually very self-conscious, and she puts on this front because it doesn't feel like she could be like this 24/7. It seems like something that she's very insecure or not sure of herself, but she puts on this front to kind of protect other people from getting to know her. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from her.
Well, she feels a bit like Wesley on his best days of being a genius. Here she is. She's been told by everyone in her last job, I guess her current job, that she's incredible. She's revolutionized. I agree. I think she should have continued. Not as a regular every day, but it would have been great to have her pop in every season a Q. She comes in as a specialist for an episode, whatever. It'd be fun if she was not good at lots of things, but she found her niche, and so therefore she's pronounced the Borg expert. She likes being the best. She's told she's the best. She's not so good at a lot of other things. She's never going to command a starship. She's not that sort of leader, but she's good at this. That would have been a nice dynamic. She's actually quite weak in other things. She's bad at temporal mechanics, astrophysics, but this she gets, and she's latched onto it. Hence, overbearing in one field, and when she gets her chance to utilize it, she's really there. I would have kind of liked that dynamic, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Luke puts in $10.
Oh, thank you. Wow, you guys are so generous today.
She would have been liked more with the lady in re-music in the background. With the lady in re-music in the background. I don't know what you mean specifically.
Oh, Luke, sorry, I don't understand. Please express that in a slightly different way in the normal chat, and we'll keep track.
But anyway, she goes on to verify that they did find the same magnetic resonance traces. Anyway, it's the Borg footprint. So there's no doubt that it's the Borg now. That's how the scene ends. But I love how he's like, we need to have a walk and talk with me. And he says, if there's any changes to my orders, I need to know about it. My ship. So he does kind of slap her down, and she's like, noted for future reference. Do you want to hear my report?
But you can tell instinctively she's like, noted, gonna ignore you.
Yep.
Like, it's completely, a great question though before Super Chat. Sensengari says, why is Shelby in command uniform as in red? Shouldn't she be in an engineer's uniform as she's developing anti-Borg weapons? Gold would be the more appropriate based on that logic. Thoughts?
She was on the command path before she got switched over to being a specialist. She's not a specific science in the science department. She's on the command path. That's why. Yeah,
it's like, Picard was a pilot and he likes archaeology. Like, a pilot isn't necessarily in red, is it? But he went to the command path. So people have innate skills, absolutely. Yeah.
Jersey at $5. I think Shelby had people like Hansen set a super high bar for her at a young age, and how she dare not be anything less than excellent, hence the front. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, if you think of it that way, she's doing very well. It's just she's been given too much leeway in her current job, and that's ruined her sense of command. If an admiral says, do what you want, you know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is literally like Kirk in Motion Picture. He walks in, abuses his power, he can do it, but he does not do the correct chain of command in the way he should. Would you agree? Pretty similar?
Well, I disagree with that because he did speak to Admiral Nagura beforehand, so he already had the authorization to do that.
But she also has authorization in a sense from the Admiral, like open authorization. Like technical, but that's not how he should have handled it, is I guess what I'm saying.
True. Yes, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Ravenspire puts in £5.
Cool,
late, so watching from the start. Always interesting. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Of boldly rewatching and analyzing what many a Trekkie has seen before. Well, I hope we bring something new to it and more conversation, because that's what we like to do. So.
And Luke commented back, so she would have been more liked. She would have been liked more with the lady in red in the background. I don't get what you mean.
I still don't understand either.
I'm sorry, but thank you.
Sorry. All right, so I got to laugh here because
the lady in the red music.
Oh, Lady in Red? It's a song. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I got to laugh here because with the captain's log now, it says, with confirmation of the... I had subtitles on. And it says, with confirmation of the Berg's presence. They spelt it B-E-R-G.
Those damn Bergs. They took our Bergs!
So Admiral Hansen has now returned to Starbase 324.
But he's 6 days away.
Yep. But he's there to discuss strategy with Starfleet Command. So Shelby remains on board, of course. And this is the whole discussion they have with about his command. He kind of... Riker says, I got so-and-so working on this and this and the other thing. And Picard's like, well, you got all the bases covered. What's your impression of Shelby? And this is the whole, she knows her stuff, but I think she needs supervision. She takes the initiative a little too easily, sometimes with risks. It sounds like a young lieutenant commander I recruited as a first officer. The risks part maybe, but not the disrespect. And then, Picard actually says, what the hell are you still doing here? And I'm like, what, in the ready room? Then he confronts him about being offered the Melbourne. He's like, I don't think I want to follow that commission at this time. With all due respect, she's not the Enterprise. You need me. I love this line. You need me now, With all due respect, sir, you need me, particularly now. Indeed, Starfleet needs good captains, particularly now. Reconsider your decision. So are you telling me to leave? I'm asking you to look at your career objectively. And then he says, you know, you're ready to work without a net? Go. You're ready for command. Do it. So, yeah. And then the kind of the cutting remark at the end. And you know the Enterprise will go along just fine without you.
Oh.
Piss the fuck off.
I think this is the best Picard scene because this feels to me so genuine. I mean, considering where they started, because again, this would have been their last big scene together if he had left, right? Mm-hmm. As in this sort of room. And so you think the first time they really met in the briefing room, there was a little set, and he's all very stiff and hello, yes, and Riker's, you know, and here they are. He's super like friendly with him and open. He's saying basically, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, Will. Like it's lovely contrast there. So it's written really well, and it's like the Enterprise is worth something super special. You know, I'm getting more experience here, and as we know, I got a ship. It's a cargo hauler that goes between starbases. Remember, like two weeks ago, we had them bring someone over, and they were like, "So what are you up to?" We just go between starbases. I'm jealous of you guys. That was his entire subplot. The captain, I just go between starbases. Like a captaincy is not necessarily the thing you want, and so it's very much in this scene. But I like how all throughout Riker was incredibly patient and professional with Shelby. He never badmouths her. For as much as I can remember, not once, because he understands why.
Yeah.
And he deals with it. He is so professional towards her, whereas he could easily say, I don't think she's ready. But his only line being that, she needs supervision is absolutely fair. That's a very correct comment.
He's professional about her behind her back. To her face, he gets a little bit snarky. I think it's to.
With two lions, you've got to show the front.
Yeah, he shows his power. He shows his authority above her because he's used to dealing with everybody else in the crew that respects his position, and he's headbutting with her on a constant basis. They can't find a middle ground, and it really shows. He gets frustrated.
Well.
He gets frustrated.
But that says something great about the character. In private, he will not badmouth her.
Yeah.
He'll be, and I love with Geordi late, he's like, George's like, I think we need her. He's like, I absolutely agree. Again, he could have said, she's wrong. Just very, very good for Riker. But again, if he's going to be the captain next season, he can't be bad-mouthing the new second in command.
Yeah.
And they're very, very conscious in this episode to make Riker be, and I would say, I don't know if you'd agree with me, slightly out of character with how strong a hand he has compared to other, especially like 2 or 3 episodes ago at the end, he's like this big grin, this cheeky grin, and here he is very serious, very somber. He's going right to a captainy place when he wasn't normally there because they want us to think he's a strong captain, but he's kind of lost a bit of the Rikeriness. I don't know if you agree, but
I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree because there's strenuous times. There's stress. It's stressful right now.
Oh yeah.
He's got this decision to make. Now she comes aboard like a firecracker and is always blowing up in his face. He's getting, I can understand his frustration. So, Tanushi, €2.
Thank you.
Would administration staff count as command red? Probably. I don't know.
That's the whole question about unlisted still have a uniform. It's like, what do you put them in if you're... Let's not get started on that, guys.
Lookout Tower... it used to be Lookout Tower Radio. Now it's just Lookout Tower. Fine. Puts in £2. That time at the end where there was 3 captains. # night crew. And Olivia Julius, $5. Another sponsor. Olivia's Dress Shop, helping you beat Lactose Girl at the prom. Is that a Carrie reference? I don't know. That one didn't quite hit. The other ones were fantastic.
And that's okay, Reese M. Just keep enjoying. But I like this scene a lot, actually. I think it's good, and it's just nice to see. Take damn command, Will. But you're right. The last comment is so harsh.
It's an undercut. It's like you need, like when a parent needs to say something. I'm going to talk about in the wild. Kick your goddamn bird out of the nest so it actually will leave. Yep. You need to kind of give that little sting to kind of be like, make your point.
I mean, we know it's true. It obviously could, but the way he says it, it's that tough love.
Yeah.
You know, but it does. I mean, talk about ego disruption. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we're fine with you. You're not that important. You know, but it's a clever line, if a bit harsh. Now, this next scene I like, but again, it's super insular to the Riker storyline. It doesn't go anywhere. This is the Borg episode, and here we are literally on a 3-minute scene about Riker's promotion.
But it's not over.
Well, yes.
Because the next scene is with Troy. It's like it continues.
No, I mean this scene, this Troy scene. I mean,
okay.
Like, in any other episode, this is perfect. And I think Pegasus, when I look at this sort of scene, like these two people talking. But in this episode, I'm thinking, do we really? This is stuff you forget. You know, it's like in a week's time, Stuart. If I ask you about this scene, you'll say what?
Yeah, exactly.
You know. But what happens to it?
This is where she said. This is where he's talking to Dan, and he says, "I sacrificed a lot to be here. I see a lot of her in me. That's how I used to be. I always said I wanted my own command. The camera fell." And he's like, "And yet something is holding me back." He asks, "Is it wrong for me to stay? What do you think? Am I just afraid of the big chair?" He's got a different camera on Skype, so he's it's like moved and it's like shaking right now. He's under the desk trying to fix it. That's kind of funny. Anyway, she says, "I don't think so." He goes on to say that Picard basically compared me to her, and he's absolutely right. I look at her and I wonder what happened to those things in me. I liked those things about me. I've lost something. And she says, "You're older, more experienced, a little more seasoned." Seasoned? That's a horrible thing to say to a man. Yeah, she says, "I think you've gained more than you realize. Sure, you miss those qualities that you see in her that you used to have, and you liked those things about you, but you've gained a lot more. You've matured." Basically, that's the gist of the conversation. But you're comfortable with who you are, and you're comfortable with where you are on this ship. So you not accepting command doesn't mean you're afraid to move on to the big chair. You're just in a comfortable place. And, it's kind of where it is. It's a good conversation between the two of them, honestly. And I really appreciate this scene.
It's just not the best of both worlds scene.
No, it almost feels like this scene you could swap Guinan in for this scene though. I think Guinan gets a lot of the good Counselor Troy lines in most episodes anyway, and she's in this later as well. But yeah, she says it comes down to one simple question: what do you want, Will Riker? So,
but it's not even ever answered, is it? As in the short term.
Nope.
This is probably a scene that was added on later in the draft when they decided they were going to up Riker's bit, because you could write this and just put it in anywhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I have nothing to say about the scene specifically. You summarized it beautifully.
Yeah. Olivia Julius, $5.
Thank you.
Borg sounds Swedish.
Borg.
The Borg. So now we got the staff meeting, which is probably late at night in engineering.
Yeah.
And they're talking about basically all the different auxiliary generators that the Borg cube has. One gets knocked out, other ones kick in, and it's a decentralized system which helps the ship maintain its combat readiness even after it's been 78% destroyed.
Well, inoperable, not destroyed. I was waiting for them to say destroyed,
yes.
But
inoperable. Yeah. Sorry, same thing. So. Yeah, and Wesley basically, I love his saying what everybody's thinking. Last time we barely made a dent in it, and if it can operate with 78% of it, destroyed, that's kind of brutal. And then Riker, so they're trying to come up with a solution here, and Riker basically says, "You know what? It's late. Let's refocus on this in the morning." And she's like, "Well, I want to work with Data because he doesn't sleep." And it's the whole, you have to sleep. We need everybody alert and awake. And go to bed, it's in order, essentially. And that breaks up the meeting. So there you go. They're trying to figure out ways to enhance their weapons as well. That's the thing, too.
I'm gonna side slightly with Shelby on this scene because she seems really awake.
I agree.
Riker's tone is unnecessarily like we know he's a very gentle hand, and yet for some reason he's really like, no, we need to stop. I know he's putting his firm foot down, but I think he was a little bit overboard. Like he's countering her last indiscretion, not knowing that she's gonna, you know. But yeah, I think Shelby's fine on this. I mean, sleep is important, but you can get stims from Crusher. If you've only got 6 hours till you get there, you can't spend 4 sleeping. 4 might be the difference between everyone living and dying. You can stake a stim 1 time. It's fine. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be fine with Shelby on this. My only issue with this scene is that it's bullshit. Everything they say technobabble is not at all clever, relevant, Borg, makes sense. Like, I'm listening and I'm thinking, they have no idea what they're trying to say here. Because none of that, you know what I mean? It's complete crap, the technobabble they say. And everything they do against the Borg is crap. In terms of how the Borg work and how the tech works. You can't upper band it and then somehow it works. I don't know how any of this shit works. And just, I hope you agree with me on this, Stuart. I mean, I'll give it a pass because it's the second time I've seen it, but it's just total crap. Apart from Roman modulating their hand phasers, but like all the shit that's about finding the frequency of their energy.
They haven't done that yet. They do that after they destroy the tractor beam. Because they changed the phaser to the upper EM band or whatever.
But I mean, in this scene, they talk about how it uses power, auxiliary generators. If you can disable the generators, you can disable it. It's like, what does that? No, you can't. I mean, this entire about power is nonsense. It's a poorly written scene for that. And it bugs me because it's just nonsense.
Yeah, it's a lot of double talk, and it's meant to sound like, you know, important. I see what you're saying. They say a lot with it. They say a lot.
Yeah.
No, they say little by saying a lot. They say a lot, but yet they say little. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's all retcon stuff. We know how Borg cubes work, and nothing they do would make a dent. Also, did you notice the amazingly awkward cuts? So you got these 3 hero characters. You got Wesley, who looks great. I think it was better than this week. Shelby looks great in uniform. Dave looks great in uniform. And then you cut to Riker. Look at that woman. She's like... Yeah. So, like, what a cut. What unbelievable... Like, that woman is caught forever in Star Trek as bored. She is... I laughed out loud when I saw that cut.
Is it a director's choice? Is it framing? Look, Riker's here. He's got this bored, dull-ass crew that's going to do whatever he says. And then we see Shelby. She's got the, like, smart crew that's willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Is that, like, intentional? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, sure, yeah. And Area 51 says, I'm so glad I'm not a filmmaker, it lets me enjoy things. I can do both. This is an in-depth review, so we're going to go into it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Mark Phillips, she's like, are we done yet? Yeah. It would have been nice if they had said something like, Shelby, we've been working 21 hours. You know what I mean? If they'd had one more line to give it more context. But the small thing, I just found their faces funny.
Next scene's the briefing room. We find out that a ship, the Lalo, has reported contact with an alien vessel, cube-shaped. The distress signal ended abruptly, and she's not been heard from since. And then, Mr. Data, how long will it take to get there? Warp 9? 1 hour, 17 minutes, sir. Make it so. Good. We're going at Warp 9. We're not going at Warp 6. We're not going at Warp 3.
Yes, they use a lot of 9 this week. Like never before.
Yeah. So yeah, then they say we're sending every available starship to assist you, but the closest help is 6 days away. And Picard's like, well, we'll keep them occupied until you arrive. Yeah. So then we talk to Shelby, find out the status of our defense preparations, and yeah, I got to take a break for a second there, so you should talk because my computer just decided to shit the bed. So
good stuff. Yeah, this scene is another one where they don't know the power they're trying to represent. You know, when Picard says we're going to hold them off, it's like, you can't hold them off. It's like in the last episode of Picard, when the Les Arena holds the Romulans for less than a minute, and that was the minute they needed. It's like, I mean, 1 minute doesn't mean anything. If you're going to hold them off for a amount of time. So they can't hold them off. I mean, they're lucky the Borg followed them. But it's just a weird, like, they're going to their deaths. 9.5 times out of 10, and they can buy maybe a day if they're really like that's really pushing it, you know.
And you're right. This is the scene actually where they say you're going to be retuning the modulating the shields and at the same time retuning the phasers to the higher EM base emitting frequencies. Yeah. Try to disrupt their subspace field.
That doesn't mean anything.
And subspace field. Picard says, "What's the chance of that working?" And before, just like, "It's a shot in the dark. It's probably the best we can do for now. So do something."
But they are so brave. I mean, this is literally as close to a suicide mission as I've ever been on.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And they are the most brave crew, and no one bats an eyelid. It's because the script says they're going to be fine. I wish there was more tension. Like you said, there's little in this episode. Like, there isn't really enough tension.
No, it's very beat by beat. There's not a lot of... The music is the thing that makes you feel tension.
Yep.
Not the acting, unfortunately.
No, because you can imagine if you cut away the music, people are just standing on a very, on a quiet set, saying lines without any resonance. It's strange. It is strange. And this is the thing where they say, confirmed first time in the Alpha Quadrant, and it's like, no, they've been here before.
Well, it's the first confirmation. The other time was we weren't sure what they were.
Even though the power signatures matched and all that.
Yeah, there's another thing out there that can scoop out colonies. We don't have to worry about that yet.
Well, and it did make me laugh that when Picard Shelby, any update, it's like, if it's been 5 hours, no. Like, they're 22 months away, or 24 months away. That gives you a sense of, have they been traveling? Have they been doing stuff for a couple of days? Have they been, you know what I mean? The time is very weird here, because why would you expect any difference in 5 hours, or 10 hours, or 20 hours? Like, you're nowhere better than you were last time.
David Bessick throws in $5.
Thank you, David. Hi, David.
Imagine if they did not tell the actors how it ends. That would make some incredible tension. Well, they didn't. They don't know what part 2 is going to be. They wrote themselves into a corner with this episode.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they told what they might want to do, but I guarantee it changed, because they didn't write, they hadn't written it. So, like, it was pretty late in the game that Patrick said, "I'll come back." It was almost a no, you know. Yeah, I mean they've talked about that when Jonathan's like, when I say fire, like it could be. I thought at the time I'm very likely could be killing Patrick off.
Yep.
You know.
The next scene's on the bridge. They have an incoming ship, unidentified vessel, and it's changed course to intercept them, approaching at warp 9.3.
And we get that great. It's the edge of range, and then within 10 seconds, visual.
Yeah, and then magnify to like full screen.
Even though we just had last time that other alien, no, last week the other ship sensor range. It'll be 6 hours till it comes at 9.4. I don't like their inconsistencies like that. Like it doesn't feel right. You know. Yeah. It just doesn't. But I like the fact that we let the ship come close on this view screen CG shot. I thought that was a really good choice to just embrace it. Even though he's very blurry, his edges are really bad. In this particular green screen, he's really very, very poorly, for what it should be. It's one of their worst ones, but to see it close up, although, are the warp sides going the right way? I don't know. Yes. Yeah. Oh, and then abruptly, and then a terrible, abruptly, now they're both at impulse next to each other.
Not yet.
Oh, it's the next shot. It's the next frame from at warp to...
That's the magnify. You just can't see the streaking stars as well. There are a few there.
What?
Trust me. Yeah.
What? From... No, I mean when... Okay, so you got it at warp, right? They zoom in. Then it cuts Picard's face. Then it cuts them at impulse. Or standing still.
It does? What?
Yeah, they're not at warp anymore. Otherwise they'd crash into each other because they're both still.
Oh, that's way later. We're not there yet. Hold on.
Okay, I'm confused.
I don't know why that's there, because that shouldn't be there. That makes no goddamn sense.
Did you do a thing?
I don't think so. Anywho, let me get to the super chats.
No, I mean, it must be because they've tried to be being it a second later. And I do remember it being a weird edit. I think that is meant to be there.
There's still a whole bunch more to the scene, though. So hold your phone for a second. I think you skipped ahead somehow. David Bessick, I don't know. David Bessick, $2. Sorry if I'm clueless. Why did Patrick want to leave? He didn't. Hold on, I skipped the super chat. I didn't mean to. Olivia Julius, $5. Another sponsorship. Quark's Bar, home of the friendly faces and 110% markup. Come in today. Yeah, David, he didn't want to leave. They weren't sure if his character was resounding with the fans, because a lot of people had complaints about Patrick Stewart or Captain Picard up to this point, at least until season 2. Season 3, I think they really turned things around with his character, but he wasn't sure if they were going to kill him off. He didn't really want to leave. He wasn't sure if they were going to kill him off for the sake of the show. But anyway, so let's continue the scene.
And it wasn't he wanted to leave. He didn't know if he wanted to stay. It's different.
Yeah. Then Captain, you're being hailed by name. Data is at the same ship as we faced at J25. Uncertain, but it's the same dimensions, precisely the same. On screen, Captain of the Starship Enterprise, John Picard, registry number, blah, blah, blah. You will lower your shields and prepare to transport yourself. And he basically tries to scare him off, says, you're in Federation space, get out of here. You've committed acts of aggression against the Federation of planets. If you don't withdraw immediately, we'll try
and stop you.
Yeah, it's essentially. And everybody's like, what the hell do they want with you? I didn't think they were interested in human life forms, just our technology. Priorities seem to have changed. And then he tries to bluff them and says, we've developed new defensive capabilities since our last meeting and are prepared to use them if you do not withdraw from Federation space. Then they basically get probed, which sounds dirty. But yeah, now is where they're getting tractor beamed, and so they are out of warp.
But it's definitely an awkward edit from the at warp far away to suddenly stop.
It is.
Because it implies that the Borg, who dropped out of warp first? Was it the Borg or the Enterprise D?
I don't think the Enterprise D ever went into warp. They were sitting there talking about their thing.
Oh, so they zoomed into them at warp?
Yes.
Into subspace. Because you can zoom into things if you're both at warp, because you're both in the same subspace layer. No, because...
Yes, that's what they did.
I'm pretty sure they were heading towards them, though.
Not at Impulse, not at warp. There's no order for warp ever. They were sitting in the conference room.
Are you sure they didn't say warp 9? Because we just made a joke about warp in the conference room. They're always going to warp 9.
He did. That's right. He did order. He did order Data to go warp 9 to the other ship. But then when they got the intercept thing, they probably dropped out of warp. Would be my guess, because the ship was coming at them. Change course for them. It's not implied, or there's no dialogue for it. But I would assume that's what happened.
So you think as soon as they're in long range sensors, they automatically dropped out of warp, so they would have more leeway time to scan them. Because if they're both heading, it'll be quick, and if they...
I would imagine so.
Okay. I mean, they're in no hurry to face them, and they know they're on intercept course. Okay, I can buy that, but it's definitely an awkward edit. The way it plays is like, boom.
I never noticed it till you brought it up, so it's not that bad.
Well,
honestly,
yeah, because they're just.
So we don't know how much time passed between the conference room scene and the bridge scene. Again, it's the time thing.
Yeah, but I give them all the credit for. I love that view screenshot of the Borg cube. It always holds up. And we do have an almost unchanged Borg voice style from now until the end. And it holds up tremendously well. So well done for creating a great style. I'd love to hear the background about that. Like, that guy feels like it's the same guy, the primary voice, is all the way through Voyager. Yeah. Like, is that the same guy who's always rehire? Does he just work in the back office like he was there for 20 years? Because it feels like the same guy.
I think it's just a modulation thing. You can change any voice to sound like that, would be my guess. But... Brian Kesterson, yes, they can warp backwards if they want to, but David Bessig, $2. Sorry if I'm clueless. Why did Picard want to leave? You read that already. God damn it.
Sorry, Stuart's clueless. Why did Mike read it twice again?
Why does Captain Foley want to leave? Mike WPG, $2. Love you guys. Thank you. We love you too.
Thank you.
And James McGill, $5. Always felt this amazing story should have 3 parts. We already know part 1. And part 3. Part 2 should have been the Battle of Wolf 359, Starfleet's worst defeat. That'd be cool. So at the end of this episode, are we going to be like, this would have been better as a 3-parter? Because we do that a lot with the 1-parters.
But it would have also given them the budget they needed, you know? Because this one is a massive build-up, and then the next episode is skip the most important part of the story and then go straight to the epilogue. You know, skip the battle. Let's go find him. It's like, but the battle was the important bit.
Because we're on our hero's journey. We got to know what the heroes are doing, and they didn't see the battle. They weren't there. They missed it. That's the point. They come in afterwards, and they couldn't have. They couldn't have helped. They couldn't have helped. So they see the devastation.
Wanted to see the battle though, and get a sense of the Borg.
I know, but that's not the story they're telling right now.
That's what I'm saying. Part 3, 3 parts. Now, do you remember any impression of the Borg have never been like this? But they're asking for him. They are actively... Although they weren't searching for Picard, because they're on the edge of space and then they meet them. So it's not as if they were scanning for Enterprise D. They didn't... You know what I mean? The Enterprise D... It would be interesting how many ships they had to go and find before they found information on the Enterprise D. It would have been kind of nice if they'd just done a beeline. Like if they'd said, Mr. Worf, can you retroactively work out his course? Oh yeah, they've been on a straight line for 500 light years. They've gone directly towards us. You know, that'd have been kind of cool. What do you think about them literally wanting Picard and asking him to by name and saying we need him and you know, and also send him over, otherwise you'll be harmed? How un-Borg-like is that entire conversation? Mm-hmm. It's like you're going to assimilate the entire ship. Why are you saying you won't be harmed?
They retcon it later with the Borg Queen having an interest in Picard or whatever, and in humanity, because humanity's got to be special compared to the millions of other life forms they've freaking assimilated. They have an interest in humanity because we're special.
At this point, we only see very pale white human males, so it's just one species. I mean, it's just a race. There's no multi-species assimilation, because we're still not the Borg yet. You know. Yeah. But didn't it seem weird though that they threatening them?
Yes.
Even though it's like they can defeat them instantly and then assimilate everybody. Like the idea of assimilation isn't even a thing really. Like he gets converted, but it's not the same concept.
There was no fear of the nodules and coming out with the nanoprobes at this point, because that's something that would have terrified me when I was younger.
Yeah.
And you don't get that sense. Like once they're on your ship, you're screwed because they can like get into the. You don't have that yet.
So when the shields are down, it's just like, oh no, our shields are down. Even though in reality, there'd be like 1,000 Borg and they'd all be like taken over. Like their strategy makes no sense in this episode if you retcon. So again, holding up is the problem. At the time, yes, but you know.
Olivia Julius $5 with a bunch of our stickers, which is great advertisement for joining the channel. If you join the channel and come the rank of Captain, Commander, or Admiral, you can use these stickers in the live chat. So there you go. Very, very important.
Medallion says the Borg were looking for the D.
Isn't everybody? I'm not, but David Bessick, $5. How do they explain the fact that all Borgs are human before they even ran into humanity? Well, they're not human. They're humanoid, as we've seen with a lot of aliens throughout all of Star Trek. So they're not human.
And they're so changed that, I mean, they could easily, humanoid enough. And we only see, 10 Borg on, one, they could have, one little mini street.
They usually have skull caps and stuff, so you don't know if they've got ridges or anything like that. So
it's more worth asking why they only have them be similar size, similar built, white males, painted white. You know, that's more the question of why they. I guess because all the blood's drained out of them. I guess women would have been like do you show cleavage on a Borg? No, you don't. Then what's the
you should, really should.
Well, yeah.
Anywho, they lock onto them with their tractor beam, and so load torpedo bays, lock on coordinates to the tractor beam, and shields are holding. That's a good thing.
Well, for a couple of seconds at least.
Well, yeah, and I love how Riker's like the mutation Shelby says, the mutation modulation has them confused for the shields, and right away Riker snaps back, but they've had the ability to analyze and adapt, Commander.
Did you see her expression? She's like, "You shut up."
Yep,
that's good.
So they trying to recalibrate everything. Shields have finally failed, and Picard gives the order to fire all weapons. New phaser frequencies had no impact. Their subspace field is still intact, and reverse engines full impulse, but they're not moving. Fire at will launch torpedoes. So they launch everything. They fire. Still no damage to the Borg vessel. And then we get the beam cutter cutting through the secondary hull, which is a cool visual. I love that it's like shaking. Dude.
That's a good one, yeah. This is a terrible battle.
It's not great.
Because they're, like I said, they're walking into suicide. I like the firing on phasers, and the fact that they use their phasers on the struts is unusual as all hell, and it's really cool. Good for them.
Go back for a second. Is there firing phasers out of the photon torpedo launcher?
No,
or is that supposed to be from the other strut?
No, it's from the other strut. It's just how do you... It's
lined up perfectly.
It is, yeah. But they fire... No, you can see in the frame after. Yeah, it's just below. But I mean, it's really, tricky. But at least they did it. I mean, it's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah.
Hell of a rubbish firing angle. It's like the absolute edge of the rim. I mean, that's... But I mean...
anything remotely within phaser arc.
Yeah, exactly. Arc. But it's such an old battle because they're a red alert. It's the biggest battle of our lives, and he has to tell Worf to load torpedo tubes. So why they're not already loaded? Why are you not literally prepped? And then none of them have any reaction. They're not concerned. I know they're professionals, sure, but because oh no, the shields are down. Fire torpedoes. It didn't work. Fire more weapons. I guess it's all I have to offer. There's no plan here. There's no strategy. They're barely surviving 5 seconds at a time. It's
like playing Bridge Crew. Yeah, the shields are down. We're basically screwed. Just keep firing.
Yeah.
Speaking of, gotta say, I'm gonna tie into this episode because we're fighting the Borg. Tonight, I'm going to do an all-Borg Bridge Crew.
Ooh.
Where we just do multiple missions against the Borg with different era ships. So check that out.
That's fancy. But do you know what I mean? In terms of, there's a massive disconnect between their acting, the scene, and the CGI. There's just no tension, no build, and the fact they can survive this, and the fact they fire all weapons, and then it hits the cube, whereas last time we saw them, it was blowing pieces, and that was the big effect. Now it does nothing, so they've even adapted the basic weapons, so there's no cause and effect here,
Yeah.
Nothing does anything, and shields being down means nothing.
Yeah.
They even just cause a hull breach in engineering, and yet they're back in it within 6 hours, and we see no damage. Nothing has any effect on anything, yet they're telling us it does. And so it just has a real big who the hell cares feel, which if you don't think about it, it's fine, but in properly thinking about it, it really falls down,
And Stelio, I had to laugh at that. They didn't get the prototype in time, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
YJ
arrived on Thursday.
YJ Wrangler said see you there. And Mark says, what time? I'll probably be about 10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
That's
10:30 p.m.
3 for me?
Yep.
3:30, okay. Yeah. But I do actually have Bridge Crew now. I got it on a Steam sale a while ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Area 51, $2. Worf is finally I get to pew pew.
Yeah. And all of the pew pew.
All of the pew pews, yeah.
There were no more pews to pew.
Jarzia, $2. They haven't assimilated Klingon boob window yet. No, they should though. The Duras sisters have some interesting. Anyway,
but this is the problem with the budget. I talk about this episode. They're reusing footage from the last time they fought because all the angles are the same, which is fine. But there's no damage, there's no impact, and so if they had more budget, they could do custom bits. And they could actually feel a sense of damage and get a sense of it. But there's just disconnect upon disconnect.
Eugene, 250 rubles. Funny thing, I remember Admiral Nechayev in Shelby's place.
Wow. Wow, that's a hell of a thing to... Damn.
And Dermentia, $2. The real weapon systems come on Tuesday. Yes. Anyway, Cutter Beam cuts in, and they have an outer hull breach. They're cutting into the engineering section. Evacuate engineering. And so he does. He's pushing everybody through. He rolls under and loses his visor and reaches back under and grabs his visor and pulls it out. Dun, dun, dun.
It's a cool moment until later on they say we lost 11 people, and it's oh.
Yeah.
But there was no sparks, no smoke, no siren, no damage. It feels like a non-thing, and the people died.
Well, see, the warp core is in the center, though. They were cutting through the side, so they're still in the engineering section. I just don't think it hit that room, but they're sealing it just in case.
Yeah.
Seems a little bit sketchy to me, but still, I think that's the situation.
No, but again, disconnect. It's they're showing stuff, they can't put the money to do damage or feel it.
Yeah. Shelby takes the initiative, goes up to Data and says, "Don't give them time to adapt. Keep adjusting the shield frequencies." Perfect person to say it to, by the way. And then we get the multicolored phaser beams.
Yeah. Now, I agree in principle that Data's the best guy, but it's telling the guy that's not the tactical guy to do stuff that tactical can do. Like, he has to actively change his console to tactical, then reroute, and Worf's like, oh, you took away... You know what I mean? It's like...
It's not that hard to play bridge crew.
It's not that hard, but it does feel weird to say the guy that is not in charge of this to do that. And also, it's like... This is the moment, but look at Riker and Picard. They're doing nothing. They're just literally watching their ship getting destroyed. And Picard's like... I guess we're going to die then. Oh, we are, yes, sir. I hate that sort of, like, non-acting. Like, Riker should be up there with Worf, pressing buttons. Picard should be somewhere doing something. There's just such a... I don't know what he would do. But they don't care. They're letting themselves be killed. And yet, until Shelby does something, they're just too calm and too... You know? It just annoys me a little bit. It's meant to be epic, but it's not. You know?
Anyway, the multicolored phaser beam...
Yeah.
Breaks up, which is cool. Actually destroys the tractor beam.
Yep.
And so it's been the ship's been released. So they set warp 9, or course 151, Mark 330, warp 9, engage, and they get the hell out of there. And of course they are pursuing them. And then we find out about the heavy damage in engineering and lost a lot of good people. 11 dead and 8 more unaccounted for.
And it's a bit of a weird edit again to see engineering be disabled basically, and then Geordie's up like, oh, I'm fine. Like, the ship can do warp 9, no problem. So why bother having engineering be hit if it doesn't affect the ship at all? You know?
Well, I said engineering section, so the secondary hull is the engineering hull.
But then why make that a scene? You know? Why show it if it's not going to affect anything? Because they're pushing the ship to warp 9.6. The ship is completely undamaged from that attack in terms of, you know, warp, the stuff that the power, you know.
Anyway, they go to the Pulsar Nebula and drop to Impulse.
Thank God it was right there. Like, right there.
And it's the Mutara Nebula, but that's okay. So they go in, and there's 82% dilithium hydroxyls and magnesium chromium. So it's the perfect for effective screen against their sensors, Captain.
Thank God it was literally 1 minute away.
Yes.
Now, it would have been great, though, if they'd said, we planned this.
I think this is more time has passed than just a minute.
Yeah. But it would have been great, though, if they'd said earlier, okay, let's drop out of warp next to this as our backup plan. Because it makes sense. We'll choose our ground to fight. It'll be right next to this nebula, you know? But you're right. Time has passed, but we know the warp can just... We know the Borg can just catch them. They did it last time, you know?
And this is the strategy of keeping a telemarketer on the phone by fucking with them so they don't bother other people. Because Picard says... Worf says they're still scanning. He says, good, as long as they're looking for us, they won't hurt anyone else.
Which is a nice line. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And Studio says, didn't Mutara come from the Genesis planet? No. The Mutara Nebula was used by the Genesis planet to help create Genesis. They went into the Nebula to get away from Khan, or at least, you know, survive Khan. But that brings up another little weird thing. They go in saying, this will stop the Borg from scanning us. And he's like, Worf, what are the Borg doing? Oh, they're not coming in. Oh, so we can scan them?
Yep.
So it's not a two-way disturbance, even though the Borg have more advanced sensors? It's like, at least in Mutara, it worked for everybody. Is it, again, a silly disconnect of like, well, why is it affecting them and not you?
Yeah.
Why? It's weird.
Good point. Never thought of that either. So it never crossed my mind. But yeah.
Good space effects. The nebula looks great. The color looks great. That shot of it in the smoke is glorious. You know? Really nice.
Jeff Jacobs, $2.51. 150. We can get to 200. Could they ignite the nebula? I mean, probably.
That'd have been cool. Yeah.
Anyway, we're back in the conference room. Picard's not here for some reason, which is weird to me.
Do you know why it wasn't?
Why?
Because Patrick might not be in the show anymore, so we need to move away from him and talk about other crew members.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Well, they make the point of saying, I'm going to say everything that we just said here to the captain. Anyway. Yeah. They talk about the phaser frequency modulation and how that 2% drop in power on the Borg ship. Yay, it's important.
But it isn't.
No, I know. But it's something. We got 2% drop. We got to point that out.
Yeah. But at least they are delaying them. Like, they had no plan to, but they are delaying them. So they are giving them time to mobilize.
And then they come to the stupidest goddamn conclusion. A phaser frequency spread was in the high narrow band. Conceivably, the ship's power distribution nodes are vulnerable to those frequencies. because they destroyed the tractor beam with it, I guess. If we can generate a concentrated burst of power at the same frequency distribution, I mean, a lot more than anything our phasers or photon torpedoes could ever provide. Well, how do we do that? Main deflector dish. It's the only component designed to channel that much power to control frequencies. And then there's one slight detail. In the process, the blast will probably completely destroy the Enterprise as well.
That is a problem. I'll give them that. That is a genuine problem.
So they're going to try to increase the range of the deflector so they can shoot it from farther away. And it could work. In the meantime, we're going to retune all the phasers and the hand units as well to the same frequency. And then go ahead, do it. I'm going to inform the captain. Why the fuck wasn't the captain here?
Like I said,
seriously,
it's just
what is he doing that's more important? My only thought was he's in the ready room talking to the admiral. That's the only thing I could think of. But this is an important meeting for the captain to be a part of. So I don't quite buy it. And this is when she said, oh, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
This is when she says, my suggestion is to separate the saucer section and assign a skeleton crew to create a diversion, which is what maybe Riker will do in part 2. I don't know. I haven't seen part 2. He's like, maybe it's a good idea, but we need the power. We might need the power from the saucer's impulse engines. Anyway, she says it would give them more than one target to worry about. He's like, it's too great of a risk. We're not going to do it. And she's like, I want the captain to make that decision, sir. He's like, trust me, I bring it all to the captain. He makes the decisions. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's weird how we go from being we're going to die to we're completely safe to, again, any tension we might have gained, completely gone. They're just hanging out,
Yeah.
And the idea of the beam, I'm guessing, is to overload their main power systems and cause a blowy uppy because the
strategy is to use the deflector to create the high resonant whatever, and it'll hit the ship and hit all the distribution nodes in the ship to knock the ship out. That's the plan.
So it cause an overload.
Yes, essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Because it worked on the tractor beam emitter.
I wish they had said that classic metaphor of if we flood the pipes they'll burst. Some metaphor, because it's not very well expressed. It sounds like we've just fire energy at it, it'll blow up, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Because you don't know this ship. If it can heal and regenerate, why do you think that would work? It's a very stretch, and they're too confident. It's weirdly confident.
Well, Area 51 throws in $5. Khan smacks up against the conference window. Wesley, use the wipers, get it off. Return Nebula.
Oh yeah, okay. Fine. I definitely, like I mentioned earlier, the whole idea about the saucer separation, it works the way they use it, but they've already proven that the ship can go from 100% to 0% shields within a minute. Twice, basically. Having two separated things with lower power means that two targets destroyed, it'll give you 5 more seconds. Whereas the power you've lost by removing the warp core and all that stuff, the power and you're also leaving the bridge, who's on the battle bridge and who's on the main saucer. It's a stupid idea that might give you a few more seconds.
Yeah.
You need to divert all power to the deflector. Don't be removing power from the deflector, you idiot. It's a stupid plan that works because it's a diversion later as a way of having more weapons in play. But it's a stupid idea that would never work. Yeah.
Jay Donaldson, putting too much air in a balloon. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we move on to the ready.
Redneck Trekker. They need the holdo maneuver.
Oh, good God. Yeah. Anyway, we move on to the ready room. And it's weird the way he's sitting, staring straight ahead. That's really weird. But no, Shelby was sitting across from him.
It's
that's
the most
why.
awkward edit. It's
right,
action, Patrick. Hello. It's they just forgot to edit his first 5 seconds. It's so awkward, and you think because he hasn't been in the scene. You're thinking, where is he? He was just sitting blankly in his room, staring at nothing. It's a really bad edit, and then it's Shelby, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
It's a terrible edit, absolutely awful.
This is great though. She came to talk about the concerns, and he's like, "If you ever don't go over my head." Well, we'll get that in a second, but Picard agrees with number one. Says it's not the time, but there may be a time when we need to take bigger risks. So I'll consider her plan as a fallback position.
Yeah.
And then again, a very short scene with Picard. Unfortunately, then we move into the turbo lift. And that's where the whole, we need to have a conversation. If you disagree with me, that's fine. You need to take it up with the captain, that's fine. Through me. Mm-hmm. You do a run, you do an end run around me again, and I'll snap you back so hard you'll think you're a first-year cadet. Love it. Love it when commanders get pissed off.
Well, it's another situation of she's out of line, she's disrespectful, she thinks he's leaving, so she wants to make her plea to the captain, she wants to build that relationship already. He's thinking, excuse me, I mean, they're both come from different places, and this is when she gets personal. She's like, well, I don't want to be like you, I'm going to do my job, I'm going to be the whatever, I don't remember what she says, but she's like, I'm a go-getter, you're not, you're a coward, basically. It's like,
May I speak freely, sir? By all means. You're in my way. Really? How terrible for you. All you know how to do is to play it safe. I suppose that's why someone like you sits in the shadow of a great man for as long as you have, passing up one command for another. Proceed to deck 8. She actually orders the turbo lift to go, even though he said hold. Well, when it comes to the ship and this crew, you're goddamned right. Well, you're damned right. He should have said goddamn right. It would have been better, but I play it safe.
Well, she's not used to having people, lives be at her hands. She's never been a command officer of a ship. And so this is she's throwing things out, like the star drive section will be destroyed. She just killed those people. She's not thinking about that, is she? But she's so out of line.
It was only a skeleton crew, though, so it's fine.
Well, yeah. Skeleton hands crew. But I mean, she is so out of line here. And it's remarkable to see because she's just 100% in the wrong in this scene, and she goes personal, and Riker's because Riker again doing a good job dealing with her, because this is not how you meant to deal with these situations. And I wish she said, she says you're under a great man. She said, "Bitch, please, I've been offered the captain 3 times. Have you been offered a captaincy? No. Shut the fuck up.
You ain't even commander yet."
Yeah, lieutenant commander.
Grade school.
Yeah.
But no, then she undercuts him and gets the last word again, because she says, "If you can't make the big decisions, Commander, I suggest you make room for someone who can."
Oof.
And that's the end of that scene.
She got real personal. Yeah. And this is why I mean this episode is filled with stuff. So many little scenes of different sets, but very little of the actual Borg, of the meat. It's all starter, dessert.
Yeah.
Here's a very tiny, it's delicious steak, but it's surrounded by not steak,
And the next scene starts out with a fantastic shot of the ship, I gotta say. And again, we got another captain's log with another stardate 43996.2. So that'll give you a sense of how much time has passed. I haven't done the math. I don't understand star dates, so figure it out, guys, how much time has passed. They're making a very good point of telling time with the star dates here. So they're surprised that the Borg are still waiting for them outside. He has no explanation for the special interest in him or the ship. They continue to prepare, and he does his walk around of the ship and runs into Guinan.
Although, little subtle thing here, if this is the last time Patrick's in the show, this is a very similar walk to that he did in Farpoint. If you recall, the first time we see him, he comes down that and he walks through. I love that. It's so gentle, but we get all these extras, all this extra set. They're showing here we are again, it's been 3 years, look how much we've grown, look how much better the set looks, look how much lighting, look how much extras. I love it, so intentional, it's such a good little walk, and it feels like an expensive show with the amount of extras and people. So I just want to jump in there, again, they're giving him a swan song of finding these visuals again. I really appreciate them.
He runs into Guinan and she says she's trouble sleeping. And he's like, well, this is something of a tradition. Captain touring the ship before a battle. And she's like, oh, well, I always thought that was a hopeless battle, if I remember the tradition correctly. He's not necessarily, and he pulls out, Nelson toured the HMS Victory before Trafalgar. Yes, but Nelson never returned from Trafalgar, did he? Anyway, yeah, we may yet prevail. And then they talk about Emperor Hronis watching as the Visigoths come over the Seventh Hill. If we truly realize that would be the fall of the Roman Empire. Good reference, gotta say. But does Guinan know what the hell he's talking about? Probably not. She's not human. She might not have studied that part of history. But they just talk about this being another page of history. It won't be the end of the civilization, she says. You know, my people were scattered, but you know, eventually you'll prevail, she says.
Although I think, honestly, while I like the scene, I think she makes it. She adds, like, it feels too light. Oh yeah, they killed 43 billion of us, but as long as there's 500 wandering, we'll still win eventually against the entire Borg collective. And it's like, is that really how you feel? Are you high right now? That's a really, like, well, even if it takes us a billion years, we'll win against the entire Borg collective having wiped out. You know what I mean? It's a very weirdly hopeful. As long as one of us survives and everyone else gets killed, we'll win. It's like, no, but they would have killed you all. You'll have lost. It's like that. It's like the lady we just saw in TNG that was the last of her clan. Like the message of the episode was, you don't win if you kill him. Like that, you don't win, even though this is the opposite. Just small thing.
Yeah.
And this does feel like a goodbye Picard scene. The way it's lit, the way it's shot. It's well acted. Everyone takes it seriously. That we're letting Whoopi have a scene with Picard again.
I'm surprised she didn't touch his hand and say something, which can be like, remember. Bring him back at some point if we need to. It almost feels like because she's an Elorian, she'd have a power to do that. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, hey, we just had his imprint in Sarek.
Yeah.
It just happened. But it's a good little scene, and now obviously we're getting. Well, I mean that is the last Picard scene in essence. In reality, and I mean as scenes go, it's nice. It's nice, and it's very much I am the captain of this ship. Dumph, you know.
Yep. Area 51, $5. Oh, we read that one already. God damn it. Luke throws in $5. Guinan to Picard. I know you won't die because we haven't met for the first time yet. Legit.
Yeah.
Anyway, the ship starts getting hit. Picard gets called to the bridge.
Yep.
And
and the way Worf says, you know, they're shaking. Picard to the bridge, and it should be like, well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Where he says it's like, please report to the bridge if you want to. It's like, yes, I think I should. Serious.
So the Borg are using some magnetometric guided charges.
Yep, big word.
The shields are back up to 48%. So they fuck off out of the nebula.
I love this editing because literally 1 second after the CGI of them leaving, they say, shields are down, we're in a tractor beam. It's absolutely instant. Like, I would love to do the CGI of that, like, in real time. Zoom out, and then look, caught. Nope. They didn't even get past it. I love it. And again, no one reacts, really, apart from, shields are down. Oh, no, we're being caught. Like, this is the worst thing to happen. And obviously, you can imagine, Picard later on in Star Trek Picard, PTSD with the Borg. And here he's treating it like, not a lot. It's just weird, Their lack of... Yeah, because then instantly the Borg beam in. It's like instantly, and no one seems to care as much as they should.
Well, before the Borg beam in, though, I love the plan. Let's see. Fire up the engines, half impulse till we clear the nebula, then punch it to warp 9. Ready phasers, load photon torpedo bays, which should already be fucking loaded. Engage. Yeah, but then fire at will, continue rotating shield frequency. Shields failing. Boom, done. Tracker beam locked on.
Like they didn't even get to warp,
Yeah, I just love the plan though. Like, get all the weapons ready and then go. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, and it's like, get all the ineffective weapons again, firing again, ineffectively. Like, they have no plan. You know what I mean? These are our heroes, they have nothing. And all Picard's idea is, shoot them more with weapons that don't work. Think about that. That's it. Yeah. That's their plan. They have no plan. They're an incredibly ineffective crew in this episode.
Their plan is a non-plan.
Yeah, but they play it as if it's a hero moment, but it's really not. But yeah, the Borg beam over, and this is the limitation of the time. They beam in slowly. awkwardly with makeup that's a bit awkward, and everyone's like, "What?" And then it's just a very long scene, like very long drawn out moments.
Yeah.
When it could, this is where you wish for Voyager style drones. They beam in, they right next to the car, they take him out, like this awesome moment. And I can ever wonder, why is Data not standing up and like grabbing one? Why is he completely absent from this battle?
I don't know.
And even the people at the back consoles, there's a Borg on the bridge, there's firing phase, and they're just like, doop-a-doop-a-doop, doop-a-doop. Why are you not concerned?
If I don't look at it, it's not happening.
I just hate the...
Riker jumps right in, though. The one puts up a shield against the phaser. He's like, they've adapted, so he goes to grab him, and he gets tossed.
Yep.
And Worf as well.
But Data and whoever's at the con don't bother doing anything.
And they put Patrick to sleep.
Yeah, it's just a really poorly framed scene, because we just need to get through it, you know? Just got to get through it. Just got to move on.
So... Yeah, fun will now commence. $2. Thank you for your thoughtful, balanced reviews. Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Trying.
Yeah. Folded with the winning hand puts in $2. Borg who injects Picard looks like 7.
Actually, it does have a more of a feminine frame. Actually, I think you might be right. I mean, that face.
Yep, it definitely does.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. And this is a great visual, by the way. Just a little bit of credit. This is a great visual. Like, it's still... Like, they put a lot of effort into that version costume, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's creepy.
So Riker's first order is maintain pursuit. The Borg vessel hits warp 9, 9.4, 9.6. And he's like, stay with them. Mm-hmm. They ask if you can get a transporter lock. Negative, some kind of interference. What a shock. And they're on a direct... I hated this part. They're on a direct course for Sector 001. The Terran system. No shit. And then Earth? No shit. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for the audience. Nobody, we have too much Trek knowledge, but goddamn.
Do you like Riker's ruffled hair, though? It's just a little bit off.
And he's got a little bit of a dirt or something on his one shoulder.
It's amazing how just they change a little bit of his hairstyle and it makes you feel different. And the Borg does disappear, by the way, and burns the carpet slightly. It's real subtle, but it is there.
Yep.
I find this moment silly. They're saying right after them, even though they literally can't do anything. You know? Like, the deflected thing may work, but it's like they have no plan, really, and they're just... It's a very fool's errandy stuff, you know?
Yeah, and Stelio says, to be fair, we don't know Sector 001 is Earth. I knew that. I even knew that before this scene, because of all of the Starfleet battles and stuff. Earth is the heart of the Federation. It's Sector 001.
And I do think they mention it when they go back and see the bug creatures. I think they say, we've gone back to Sector 001, Earth.
Yes.
I think they do say that.
I believe they do.
But I'm fine with saying it in this episode because they need context. But the way they're like, Earth, like just say one thing. They're on the way to Earth, or, you know.
And it's only season 3 of TNG, and Star Trek's only been back for 3 years, and a lot of people read the supplemental material in the intervening years, so they had to clarify it for the audience. That's fine. I hate it personally because it bugs me. Like, thank you for not only Terran system but then Earth. Like, goddamn.
Well, Terran system, 001, and Earth, all 3 qualifiers. But yes, we're back on the Borg cube now, and I always find this okay.
Before we got a Olivia Julia super chat, $5.
Thank you.
This episode, it's kind of time for a commercial. Sorry. This episode is brought to you in part by Klingon Defense Security. Oh. When you want them, they are Klingon.
Sorry, we lost you there, Stuart. I'm sorry.
Of course you did. That was a great delivery too.
I'm sorry.
Am I back now?
Yes, you are.
All right. Klingon Defense Security. When you want them, they are Klingon. When you don't, they are Klingoff.
Perfect.
Now on with our regularly scheduled program.
And Jill comments, the Borg in front of them is absolutely a woman. That is a woman build. Thank you, Jill. I've never noticed. That's cool. We can retroactively say they did have 2 genders, because that is real subtle. I've always looked at this scene, the way he walks, and I'm thinking he's Like, he knows he's going to be assimilated. Like, the way he walks is so, like, stiff like a Borg. Like, I'm always picturing Patrick didn't know if this was post or pre-assimilation, because he doesn't know the idea necessarily.
Yeah.
Just the way he walks is so stiff, you know?
Yeah, so basically the Borg talk to him and say, you lead the strongest ship in the Federation fleet. You speak for your people. I have nothing to say to you, and I resist you with the last ounce of my strength. We wish to improve ourselves. We will add your biological and technological distinctions to our own. Your culture will adapt to serve ours. Impossible. My culture is based on freedom and self-determination.
Yeah, he hasn't quite got the understanding of assimilation, has he?
No.
Doesn't really get it yet.
You must comply. We would rather die. Death is irrelevant.
That's a good line. I like that
Your
one.
archaic cultures are authority-driven. To facilitate our introduction into your societies, it has been decided that a human voice will speak for us in all communications. You have been chosen to be that voice. That's fucking stupid.
Oh,
I'm
why?
sorry. I'm sorry. We want you to talk to the populace. To just walk into assimilation chambers. You're the fucking Borg. Just go and assimilate. You don't need a human voice to facilitate your conquering of them. Why is the humans the only one they started to do this with? Because they've been assimilating people in Delta Quadrant for how long? Dumb. It's dumb. It's just dumb.
Yeah. It's weird because the words are the classic Borg words that are invented here, and yet it starts talking to Picard off script.
Yeah.
Like you said, you will be the conduit to talk to the populace. It's like, when have you ever talked to any populace ever?
They might have. We
Ever.
just don't know about it, but it's still stupid.
Like, that's not anywhere in the repertoire. Oh, and what are they going to say? Hello, all. Do you want to be assimilated? No. Tough.
I'm waiting for an Olivia Julius. This show brought to you by Borg Assimilation Chambers now. There's going to be something.
Best way to cure a backache.
Yeah.
Cure
Does your
all
back hurt?
ills.
Does your back hurt? Are you of middle age and gaining weight? We can help. Come into a Borg Assimilation Chamber and feel great today.
And lose yourself tomorrow, but only for today, you know. But perfect today. Wouldn't it be great then if we did a Patrick in full makeup doing a commercial? That's what they were, the commercials. Yeah, I mean, the concept is a bit silly. And again, in retconningness, it's not at all what the Borg would, could, or should do. It adds nothing. The reason to assimilate Picard is to gain his knowledge. That's the only reason to assimilate him. Legitimately. But then, to that extension, you assimilate the Enterprise D to assimilate all that's knowledge and gain advanced technology of, like, all the technology of the Federation, the best stuff. That's the only reason for this mission, not anything they're saying. And the Borg can't lie. This is a one voice. This is exactly what they mean. It's a bit silly, and it doesn't hold up either. Because even at the time, it's like that all they've done is walk up to you, disable you, and beam people aboard your ship. That's all they've done in the 2 episodes we've met them. What communication have you ever had? You know?
Medallion makes sense. Why even talk to Picard? Just assimilate him. Yeah. It's easy. This archaic form of communication doesn't convey our meaning. Let's just assimilate you and put it in your goddamn head because you'll speak to all of us.
Can you guys, anyone in the chat, seriously, like, give us the reason you think the Locutus thing makes sense? Because I'm legit at a blank here. So talk to us. Why do you think the Locutus thing makes sense? Why do you think it could make sense? What do you think the Borg are thinking? Help us to understand anything you think, because I would love...
Jill's saying for the second time now, if they assimilate planets of billions, perhaps they need a different approach. No, because they've assimilated billions and other planets in the Delta Quadrant. And I know Tuning says Borg assimilation wasn't a canon yet. This is very true. So, Olivia Julius, $5.
That's why it can't hold up, because the concepts don't hold up. That's why you've got to look at it at the time. Just saying things weren't invented yet, well, then it doesn't hold up, does it?
Yeah. Olivia Julius, $5. Another sponsor, Regeneration, come in and feel that assimilation. Where is it here? Because they fear humans' ability to work together. That's bullshit. You tell me other species haven't worked together? That's just stupid.
They assimilate that out of people.
And they carry that over to Enterprise too. Like, we're so special because we can work with other races and form the Federation. Bullshit. You tell me that hasn't happened before in other parts of the galaxy? It's just it's stupid that humans are so special that we're the only ones that can cooperate with other species. It's dumb. I'm sorry. It's just dumb. I'm done now. Sorry.
Yeah, Jeff J says, humans have proven creative and resilient and I want to make sure. The thing is, they found one random species. They have, what, thousands of cubes and thousands of star systems assimilating thousands of things at the same time. It's like saying, okay, what is one MP, what is one backwater MP doing in Parliament? Who cares, you know?
Rhode Island. To quote pitch meetings guy, so the plot can happen. Yes, that's exactly right.
Because it seems really cool, but as soon as you think about it for a second, it's like, well, why was Locutus made?
Yeah.
You know?
I get that they want his command codes, his fleet deployment, whatever, but they don't say that.
No.
That would make perfect sense if they said, we need your tactical superiority.
Because that's part 2.
Yeah.
That's what they say, because you forget, that's the thing, you forget about part 1 when you watch part 2, and they retcon things to be a certain way, but when you watch it out of context, like, oh no, this doesn't make sense properly.
And Eugene, 150 rubles, because timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, anywho.
Oh, and Turing, obviously, I'm still the point of view that the Enterprise popping up in the Delta Quadrant is the reason they were interested in humanity. Well, yeah, but one of many. I mean, hundreds of races all the time, you know.
But at this point, 7 was already assimilated. Pretty sure.
And the Raven. I mean, all of that knowledge. Yeah, that's a good point.
If you look at the timeline, they'd already have all that Federation knowledge and know about the Delta or the Alpha Quadrant, and
they've chosen not to come to the Alpha Quadrant and assimilate mass people, except the neutral zone people. That's a great point. That's a great point.
Anywho, again, that's retconning because that comes up way later. So,
but we're basically end now, so it's good to talk. But then we get Captain Riker, in essence. Boy, he's tall. Look at that. Boy, he's like... Whoo!
I noticed that when Picard was talking to him in the ready room earlier. Picard's like looking up at him like, you got to move on, Will.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
There's a few of those moments. They hide it quite well, the difference, but he is like half a foot taller than everyone.
And Jeff, my friend, I love you, but you're grabbing at straws here. Humans made the Federation, and the Borg understand that is a different way of getting what they have. No, that's just stupid.
There's a less efficient way.
There's got to be other coalition of planets around that they've assimilated that have worked together. It's just...
Well, because think about it. The Borg got space travel before us, transwarp before us, warp before us, weapon technology before us. I mean, their way is more efficient. Took less time, achieved a bigger thing. They have transport conduits that can span the entire galaxy. What can Federation do? Stay in their corner. And they haven't even defeated the people around them. I mean, they offer nothing specifically that the Borg haven't done hundreds of years ago, you know.
Yeah. So we get the scene here where they basically say they're leading us into the heart of our own defenses. Well, they haven't had much reason to worry about our defenses up to this point.
Now, question though, 6 days to the nearest ship, and that's not going to be Earth, because that's ridiculous. How long have they been chasing them, do you think?
I don't know.
Exactly. It's got to be some time. You know?
Well, I'd say at least 12 hours, let's say, because the next line is, if the Borg stay at warp 9.6, we'll be forced to discontinue pursuit and power down in less than 3 hours. So maybe 9 hours, 10 hours around there. I think the 12-hour thing for the maximum warp is kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it much more than that.
But it's broken time again. Like the way it's played, it's like because it's like if they're genuinely that far from Federation space at warp 9, that's a long time. That's a long way. Shannon
Nash throws in $20, which is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fighting draws resources. The Borg would think people would capitulate if they were confronted with a familiar face and voice. That way they hope to not engage in combat. It'll be more efficient if humanity just gave up. Yeah, but that's asinine. Like I said, I am Locutus of Borg. These are our overwatchers and our gods. Please step into the assimilation chamber. Let it happen. Like, dumb.
Volunteer your souls away, please. Cool, thanks.
Yep.
I get the efficiency thing, but the Borg don't do combat, they do assimilation. Like, in this episode, all they've done is tractor beam, the beam to disable power, which didn't do any physical damage to the ship apart from a little bit of a hull breach. They had no shields, anything's going to do that. And beam pull aboard. There's no battle here, you know?
Yeah.
They never do battle. Well, one more thing about the distance, though, because if they're saying that it's 6 days at warp to get from Earth to say that the only ship in range is Earth, right? And it's 6 days away. Does that mean it takes 6 days to travel the entire length of the Federation? Because they said this is an outer colony. If it's 6 days, and then the Enterprise exploring the Outer Rim is less than a week away. Doesn't work. And if it's 6 days between them and the nearest ship, and then it's a month to Earth, well, are you telling me they've chased them for a month? Doesn't work.
No.
Doesn't work. Bugs me.
So they got to shut down in less than 3 hours. How close are we to getting the deflector fixed and ready? We're close. A few hours, maybe. Important. It's a few hours until they get the deflector ready to fire. Keep that in mind. I'll know you get it done somehow. You always do. I mean, Geordi says, but I'm going to need some serious power from the warp engines to make this weapon work. So far, we're using everything we've got to keep up with them. So they have to get the ship down to impulse. Oh, what? Go ahead.
Sean just the best comment. You win the best comment of the last 5 minutes. The Borg recently assimilated species of religious missionaries. Locutus is a door knocker. Brilliant.
Yes,
that was this cube's last mission. The missionary, the Mormon planet. Yeah, love it.
So the plan here is to beam over to the Borg ship and get them to power down to impulse, so they can, ease up on their engines and divert that power to the weapon, and also maybe get Picard back. So Riker's like, "Yep, I'm going to lead an away team. Shelby, you have command here. You stay in touch with Starfleet," and then Troy jumps in and says, "It's not appropriate, Commander. You're the captain now. You need to stay here." And we're at a state of war, and your place is on the bridge. So.
No, damn it.
It's okay.
That's probably trying to listen to what we're saying now and also trying to remember a point. Shelby, Impulse. I don't know. This scene happens.
And then we get First Officer's Log, Stardate 43998.5. Again, keep track of the star dates. Maybe you can tell us how much time has passed, because I really don't know.
But not that long, because it's still.
And so they retune the phasers, they beam over.
Now, how do you feel about them beaming over with literally no difficulty?
It's troublesome. You think the Borg would be firing at them the whole time, because they're following them with probably minimal shielding at this point, if any.
I mean, they're not a threat, but the Borg are not intelligent. It's and they've probably simulated. But we know the Borg don't use shields. We know that. I've done a lot of research for a fan film. They do have shielding energy fields, but not conventional shields. They can beam through non-shields. They use armor a lot of the time. You can beam at warp, can't you? If you match modulations.
Yes.
But it's not recommended. Would be what I would say.
I would. Yeah, absolutely. It's not a good idea.
But they do it effortlessly here. And if you want the villains to seem threatening, don't let your heroes just enter their ship with zero challenge. Because why can't they beam a torpedo on? Just thought about that. I mean...
Yeah, they try to brush it away by saying, they don't see us as a threat, so they won't act. Bullshit.
And also match their speed, that was the only challenge.
But yeah, they say here, if we're not a threat, we can probably beam on board, no problem. And we've got 58 minutes before we have to power down to disengage, so do your job.
Yeah.
They go over, they scan for human life signs. It's inconclusive.
Which I like.
You find...
I like that.
Mm-hmm. They find the nodes, and Beverly's idea is look at it from the mosquito's point of view. If we sting them in a tender spot, they might stop for a minute to scratch.
What if they don't? What if they keep cycling on their bike and scratch anyway? Because you don't need to do... I was expecting to drop lower warp, but not out of warp. Because these systems have nothing to do with the warp system. It's why won't they... I wish they said they were warp emitters. And this is a double-edged sword, this scene, because as soon as they beam in, I'm thinking, that's a good-looking enhanced Borg set, right? It's good.
Yeah.
Problem is, it's the same T-bend in every single shot. They just come out a different corner.
They would say that that's how it's laid out, like a grid. it would all look the same.
I know, but the longer the scene goes on, you realise the actors just walking the same scene again and again, and then it suddenly feels more and more cheap and more dull. The effect gets broken very, very quickly, especially like they find Patrick's Picard's uniform in a thing, and then you realise that's the one flat wall that he's standing next to later, because only got one flat wall. And the node they see, this node, it's red. The other node is the same node, now it's green. It's the exact same hallway. Like it starts to fall down. I don't like when Beverly's like looks up. That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's a green triangle that's glowing. You're not a scientist, Beverly. Why would you think that is extraordinary? You're not you're not gonna know what that is. No offense to you. Why? And extraordinary is the wrong word. You know, it's like in the script but without the prop department. Which is a very weird.
Well, it was supposed to be a fantastic visual, and it just wasn't.
Yeah.
When they got around to the effects.
Jadak
Productions puts in $5 Australian. Good morning, Captain. How are you this wonderful day? Very good.
Well, it's the morning now for me, so
good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we then we'll come back to the Enterprise. Riker's saying, send everything to Sector 001. They're on their way there, and the Admiral's like, no, we're going to intercept them at Wolf 359. We're going to make our stand there.
And Shannon Nash says, I think it's fine for a syndicated television show with a moderate budget in the 90s. Yes, but we judge everything the same. So a modern show like Picard with a massive budget in 2020s makes stupid mistakes. If Discovery fires torpedoes out into cells, we're going to call them out. And if a show that it's fair to call everybody. We're equal opportunity offenders, and that's what I say at the start. This show needed more money. I said that. It's limited by its budget. I said that right from the start.
We got a super chat from Jarzia of $10. So thank you very much. PayPal, sorry.
Thank you.
It's his final score. We can't read that yet.
Oh. Now, Area 51 has a good comment. Area 51 says, well, sets cost money, and maybe the product has things wrong. I think if they'd cut filming the poker scene with Shelby and maybe slim down the time on that planet set, they could have made more of the Borg set. Because, that's, every minute of screen time you get to donate budget to. I would rather, you know what I mean? I'd rather have the end be more powerful than the setups that don't go anywhere. Again, they didn't know that, but, I'm looking back in retrospect if it holds up or
not. So they find his uniform.
Stuart, why did they strip him and put it neatly in a drawer?
No idea, but we don't have to focus on it. We need to move on and get this done.
But you know what I mean? It's just, why would the Borg do that? They wouldn't. You simulate people in their clothes and then you put stuff over it. It's a weird thing, because someone just drop it in there in a drawer. Borgs don't use drawers. It's weird.
Anyway, we're back on board the Enterprise. We find out that we're in business. The deflector's up and running. It'll burn out the main deflector, but it'll be one hell of a bang. And we find there's radiation danger, so they're going to have to evacuate the forward half of the secondary hull and the lower 3 decks of the saucer, which I really appreciate. I like that they said that, actually. And then
me too.
Troy needs something to do, so she'll see to that. She goes.
No, that's fine. That's fine. She can help them who are concerned. Yeah, that's fine.
They have 17 minutes of warp power left, so we got to take out these distribution nodes and see what happens.
I love that, because they have no idea what it's going to do. It probably won't do anything at warp. They've only got the ones they can see. They're not split up, so they can do 4 on a ship that's 3 kilometers by 3 kilometers. They're destroying 0.0001 of stuff they don't know what it's going to do. It's such a shit plan,
It's the best they can do. They got to try something at this point.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Anywho, shouldn't work, but it does.
Yep.
So they've done it. The Borg ship is dropping out of warp.
Yeah, they blow up 4 in each direction, and the Borg activate and come after them, but not quick enough. That's fine,
And they move into 40,000 kilometers and match velocity, and they're getting ready for the modulation. Before the people are back yet, I might add.
Yes, yeah. Well, they're ready to go either way. It's the matter of survival. And then you get one of the worst moments, because you keep seeing Borg appear as if they're everywhere, but all you get is one shot of one dying after another. There's not really a sense of danger here, because they're just so calmly shooting. They work more than 1 each, 2 each, and yet they keep playing it as if they're going to get swarmed, but they're always fine. And then you get, it's just there should be tension here. There kind of isn't. It's weird.
Yeah. But then Worf sees, Beverly sees Picard. Worf goes over and there's a force field or something special around Picard.
And so why is Picard randomly in this corridor?
To distract them. That's a plan.
Because it's also silly because they literally haven't moved. So they just run all 4 conduits on the T junction. So they would have seen Picard when they walked up because he hadn't moved. So I don't understand why they haven't moved, Stuart. Why don't they see him? And then Beverly's like, "Oh, you were there the entire time." Like the editing is awful in this scene. Doesn't make any sense. And yet they're still being because look, there are people walking in front of Patrick Picard at the people, and yet their Worf just saunters forward. And there's no Borg around them, and then they let him pass. They're not the same Borg though. None of it works. It's really poor editing. I don't get it. And they beam away in front of all Borg who don't seem to care. Why? I don't get it. And then they beam and there's no Borg next to them, even though they were all converging. No Borg. Okay. What? It's not good. It's not good. It doesn't work.
Anyway, they get back. They were unable to retrieve Picard. He's been altered by the Borg. Altered? And I love Worf. He is a Borg.
Yes.
Anyway, they're recalibrating there's shit going on in the Borg cube that they're reading. And
it's regenerating, yeah.
Yeah.
The minimal damage they're regenerating.
So this could be our only chance to destroy them. If we get back into warp, this weapon could be useless. Shelby's like, "We'll go over. We'll sabotage them again. We can't maintain power.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that." And she goes, "Get Admiral Hansen on subspace.
Yeah.
If you lay that order, Lieutenant, there's no time."
Yeah.
And then the Borg hails them.
For
and,
some reason.
Well, yeah. For this reveal.
Yes.
"I am Locutus of Borg." And then blah, blah, blah.
Well, it wasn't revealed because we just saw him.
We didn't know his name, though. So that's a reveal. So shut up.
Yeah. Well, it would have been more powerful, I think, if they hadn't have showed him 5 seconds ago.
I agree.
I actually completely forgot they showed him. I thought this was the first moment. I was kind of surprised seeing him.
They should have showed him lying on a table because they were running away from the Borg.
Oh yeah.
He was lying on a table. You only see half of his face. So you think he's still human.
Yep.
They have to get beamed out, and then the
being
next thing
swarmed.
next time you see him, he's like this. That would have worked better.
Much better. Yeah. But you get the famous line, you get the great close-up, you get to see Patrick in barely any makeup in terms of like prosthetics. They didn't mess his face up that much. Very considerate. No eyes, no face, brilliant. And then everyone is relatively shocked, and you get the famous line, don't you?
"Mr. Worf, fire." Dun, 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 dun.
The moment when this actor is legitimately saying, "I might kill my friend," in the context. Yep. And it's as real a raw a scene as you can have. And as soon as it says "to be continued," you're like, "Oh, damn!"
And then all tension's lost within 30 seconds of the next one starting because it just fucking fizzles out. Oh, well, shit.
Well, I haven't built much tension, so we're not going to...
True.
But it's still a strong ending, and it's... Yeah. Oof.
Well, Luke puts in $5. The Borg are walking at zombie speed, as they always do. It's fine. They're not the running zombies.
No, but they disappear between shots, which is a problem.
Yeah. So that's it for part 1 of Best of Both Worlds, guys.
Episode 26. Oy. So many one thing.
I'm not going to go through. We did a long review. It's a good episode. Like I said, the first cliffhanger episode, and the uneasiness of not knowing whether Picard was coming back or not, and whether Shelby was taking over for Riker. There's a lot going on, and I remember the first time it just was very impactful. Like it did work as a piece of television.
Also, you couldn't watch it twice. Like,
no.
You got it, you remembered what you remembered, you were left with the most amazing end, and you weren't allowed to think about it.
Yep. So...
Although, guys, put your scores in now. Super chat final score. We'd love to get another $35 by the end. Stuart will read your ones. The super chat ones, I'll read everyone else. Put your scores in now. But do give us, seriously, the out of 10 for this season and for all TNG. But remember, we're not considering this two parts in one. Just your review for this part. That's important, because I think our reviews will change as of the next episode. Sorry,
Yes.
continue, Stuart.
I was going to say, for my score for season 1, I'm going to have to give it a 9 out of 10. Like we said, some of the acting was a little bit wooden and not really reacting to what the hell was going on. And some was overdone, like, wow, that's fantastic or fascinating, whatever the hell she said, when it was just nothing really great. That being said, the music and everything is spot on this. So, and it's really fun, really action-packed. Didn't feel like a full hour episode or 45 minutes. It felt a lot shorter to me because it really kept me engaged. So it's going to get a 9 out of 10 for season 3 for sure. All TNG, this is still up there as far as one of the best, but it usually as a full piece, part 1 and part 2 together. So I'm going to have to still say it's going to be at least an 8.5 out of 10 for season 3, or for all TNG. There are better episodes later, I think, and more Star Trek feeling episodes. This one is good, but it's just part 1. Part 2 hasn't happened yet, so we can't judge it based on the whole thing. So yeah, that's what I'm going to have to go with. So those are my scores.
Cool. Obviously, I'm going to be a lot lower because it doesn't hold up. I mean, I found so much more, I think, than anybody thought in this episode. I'm amazed your scores are still as high as they are because they're all stuff we talked about, but that's okay.
Nostalgia. Love it.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to have to give it 3 scores because it's valued at different things. At the time, it was incredible. It doesn't hold up, and you really can sense the mishmash of script ideas, the backdoor pilot, we need to give Patrick his final moments, we need to give Riker his hero moments, we need to give Shelby a good introduction, we need to give all these things, but they don't combine. That said, it's an incredibly dense 45 minutes that feel like 60, and yet you're going to forget over half of the episode next week. Like, you're going to forget. There's a lot of it's so unmemorable. It's got a memorable couple of bits, but over half of it is not memorable and is so throw it away, and that's a shame. But because it's part of this great story, so I'm going to give it 3 scores because I think that's fair. So at the time of TNG, it was probably like a 8.59, right? Because Yes Enterprise is much better than this episode, much better. I like most toys better. Sins of Father's better. Yes Enterprise is also better. Matter of Perspective is probably better. Deja Q's better. So much of the season is better. Defector is much better. Most of the season is better than this, or at least the best of it. Doesn't hold up, and anyone knows where. So for this season, I mean, boy, it does not hold up. For this season, 7. It's of the better end, but just because it's concepts, it's not the best script, it's not the best actor, it's not the best whatever. It just doesn't hold up. All of TNG, that's gonna keep its score a bit better. Probably 7 as well. I think next episode will improve this episode because it'll change change some of the concepts. So as a movie, it'll probably be better, but it's definitely not as good as people give it credit for. And I think people need to go back and watch it just as itself because it is thoroughly flawed, and it's a shame because I remember it being one of the best ones. It is absolutely not one of the best of TNG, and it is not a standout for this season. Moment-wise, yeah, but not for the episode. It's actually quite a letdown.
So guys, put the pitchforks down. It's his opinion. He's allowed to have it.
Hey, I've justified it. I've given more than enough reasons. So I'm not, I've given a ton of reasons. So you guys can't get at me for that. There's a ton.
But they will.
There's a ton of flaws. Stuart, super chat, scores.
There's a ton of flaws in your opinions. Let's make that. Yeah. All right, Jarzia, first of all, with the PayPal.
Yes.
9.5 for season 3 and TNG. Top tier Trek episode in my honest opinion, despite some flaws. I rate it so highly in part because I believe this episode was responsible for saving the Star Trek franchise as a whole. Star Trek V had been a massive disappointment just a year before that almost ended the movie run altogether. Season 1 and 2 of TNG were not very well received either. Even season 3, while a marked improvement with some phenomenal episodes, had not really reversed to the bad rep TNG and Trek as a whole and picked up in the last few years. Holy shit, did you write a book? Add to that, the studio
thanks for
hated
$10,
the idea.
I appreciate it.
Add to that the studio hated the idea of cliffhangers, and Best of Both Worlds was a big gamble that ultimately paid off big and set a new tone for the franchise going forward. I totally agree with all that. They did save Star Trek. If season 3 had ended up with a one-off episode like season 1 or 2, especially season 2 with Shades of Grey, I added that last part in, there would have been little excitement for season 4. TNG would probably have carried on, but it would have been safe and mediocre without the concept of big two-parter episodes and riskier stories being proven. I doubt viewing numbers would have gotten to the point of justifying DS9, Voyager, and all that followed. Absolutely agree with all that, but a lot of people saw... That's the end of this thing, by the way. I absolutely agree with that, but that's why people complained, because they actually said, I remember quotes, you don't need a cliffhanger for me to come back to watch more Star Trek. But at the same time, they felt they needed that, and that was their hitch for getting people back for season 4, because they really thought people were dropping off. They didn't think that Picard had the approval rates that people wanted, so they weren't sure if Patrick Stewart was coming back. So they did this as a way to bring everybody back for season 4, which I don't think was really justified after the quality of season 3, now rewatching it.
Yeah. But obviously they were writing on a week-to-week basis. I mean, they were so caught in season 3 they couldn't see it be made.
Yeah.
But the problem is, that's saying because it's important in history, it's therefore a good episode. You're saying it doesn't hold up, but because of what it was at the time, it holds up. That makes anything better than it should be. I mean, that's just... I get it, but if something has to be good because of it was important... okay,
Yeah, but it felt like a gimmick to bring people back for season 4, and it kind of was, considering they didn't have a part 2 done. This was a hitch to see whether they would be renewed, whether they would be back, and so they didn't bother putting the time into a part 2 until they knew they were getting renewed. Then they just, we wrote ourselves into a corner with this one.
And see,
I remember that scramble too. Like, how are they going to resolve this?
Yeah,
because all summer you're speculating.
Well, Picard can't come back. They can't unborg a Borg, can they? It's unprecedented.
Exactly.
Like, how do you go from here? It's interesting because from my perspective, obviously it's a two-parter. Obviously, it's a brilliant end to a season. It's very clever. Because I can't think. I wasn't there. I can't think of there aren't two-parters in Star Trek. Wow, I'm just like, great. What a great way of leaving people wanting more. So I can't obviously relate to that. Where the nostalgia of it being a bad thing doesn't work on me either. It is on its own merits. And like I said, I think watching part 2 will improve this part because it'll make things make more sense. They'll have to fill in holes. They'll have to develop it. Although I know that they spend too much time on the Enterprise probably in part 2. But yeah, definitely. If best of both, if Yes' Enterprise isn't the highlight of this season. I'm calling this right now. I think that episode or part 1 is better than part 2. I think part 2 is full of a lot of disappointment. Really?
Because this was such a big ramp up, and then it's like dun dun dun. It's like, oh yes, and then you see part 2, and it's like, okay, that didn't. What the hell? At the end of it, you're like, okay. As a cohesive piece, as both of them together, it's pretty good. It's a damn good story actually. But I think episode 2, part 2, is going to fall apart when compared to part 1.
The thing is, we just watched it and we realized there's no tension at any point. Like they failed to create tension. They always have shields down. They never get defeated. They never get assimilated.
There is though, because watching this the first time, I can tell you, as I said, it was a nail biter. But it was just boom, 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 point after hit. Like,
but in watching as a filmmaker, basing its script, its story, its editing, like. If those things only work once in 1989 and never again, that's a problem. That's why New Hope is universal. New Hope will always be good. It always works. Measure of a Man, I was surprised how much I liked that. That holds up, but beautifully. Things can still hold up. I'm excited about it. I think hopefully it'll help.
In Area 51, I'm surprised how hard you guys are. I gave it good scores. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just being honest. I'm just seeing things.
Anyway, let's read the rest of the super chats.
Yes.
Shannon Nash, $5. I remember my brother and I screaming at the TV at the end. I was in second grade. 9 out of 10 and 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Tenchi 2K7, $2. 9 out of 10 for season 3. 10 out of 10 for TNG. Olivia Julius, $5. I give this episode 3.5. It doesn't even deserve a commander. Oh.
She only gave it a 7 by 3.5, so I'm not sure why she's complaining it's me, given she gave the same score as me. Just saying.
Ozzy Medeiros, $5. This episode gets a 9.5 out of 10. Trekyards, 10 out of 10. Skeleton Hands. Fergus Hancock, $2 Australian. The Queen. It's all about the Queen. Dilithorian, $10, 9.5 out of 10 for season 3, 9 out of 10 for TNG. This episode turned a corner in the show. Music was brilliant. Concept was brilliant. It gave me the chicken skin. That's why it gets the high score. Tuning 3434, $2 euro or €2, sorry. Hashtag kick the commander upstairs and out of the way. Oh, that's not nice. And Jeff Jacobs, $2, extra credit for groundbreaking and effective TOS. Yeah. I just got to jump in here and say that I think a lot of the scores that are being reflected here it's very much a nostalgia thing. I kind of agree a lot with what point Samuel made about it not being, as far as from a storytelling standpoint, there are a lot of holes, a lot of problems with it. But I'm still on the nostalgia train and how I felt back in the day watching this the first time. It worked. It totally worked with all the problems. Going back and reanalyzing it, I can see why he's got this view. So I understand his point of view, but I understand all the high scores as well. Just saying.
I'm the same way. I know it's amazing because you watch it without thinking about it. You just enjoy the ride, but it's not meant to be watched like this. It was made in 1989 for one time and then repeats randomly that you might not see all of. It's not meant for repeat viewings in HD and surround sound. It's meant to be in this small and, bad sound. It was never intended for this sort of viewing where we could look at frames. That said, the art design holds up great. It's more the story things. Yeah.
So if you want to read some of the non-Super Chat scores...
I would be tempted, though, to go back. I bet you could re-edit Part 1 and Part 2 together and add some CGI in between to extend the battles to be more interesting and improve it. Like taking out some...
Give more sense of a time passing by. Because we've got to figure out the star dates. I want to know how many days is involved here.
Because just take out Shelby stuff, honestly. Take out a lot of the padding, get him to the Borg quicker, show more Borg chase with actual CGI. Add some real depth and tension to it, I think would help. But they didn't have budget for it. It's limited to budget. They couldn't give it what they wanted to. So non-Super Chat scores. Let's have a look. How far do I go? Okay. 8 out of 10, and 10 out of 10 for groundbreaking, 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8.5, 9.5, 10, 9, 9, 7, 10, 9.5, 10, 9, 9, 9.5, 9, 8.5, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6.5, 10 out of 10, 9, 9.975, I like that. It's just a shame because for me, Yes' Enterprise holds up on every level. It's the opposite of a mess, apart from the space battle at the end, and this is a mess. So, it's strange because I'm doing the exact same review, and I don't think any of my points have been invalid.
They aren't.
Just going in too deep, but that's the point of this review, so...
So you're discrediting my scores because I have a bit of nostalgia.
Well, you're the same with everyone's views, so it's fine. But I'm also wondering, are you seeing it as part 1 and part 2 together? Because I'm literally segmenting it. I'm not thinking part 2 at all. Whereas
I'm segmenting it.
Okay. So I don't know if that helps.
I think this build-up is great. I'm sure part 2 is going to get a lower score from me.
Okay.
Because I know that there's so much disappointment in part 2. Because after a summer... Like I said, after a summer build-up of what could happen, what ifs, building that up in your mind and then seeing what they did, you're like, oh my God. Because nothing will ever live up to your imagination or your anticipation. And this is definitely one of those. So I know part 2 is good, but it's not better than part 1.
See, I haven't got any of that hype. I just like, what are they going to do? I think I probably saw them both at the same time on VHS. I have no build-up. It's just, well, how do they help retcon the story? How do they help develop the ideas? How do they push forward? But you're right. Take from the perspective of the crew, not from the battle.
Yeah. Olivia Julius, $5. This episode is brought to you by the Commander. May he save Picard with his Samuel fertilizers.
Samuel. Yeah, Samuel.
Aravic Sonder, $2. A defining moment in Trek, 9.5.
That's the thing. This moment is like an 11 out of 10. You know, this final moment is like one of the three most iconic moments of all TNG. You know? But half the episode is totally forgettable.
But this is, like Jarzia said, this is something that saved Trek, essentially. I know Season 3 had a lot of good stories, but I remember is it going to be renewed for next season?
But I haven't got any
that's
of
why
that baggage,
that's
though,
why,
you know?
That's why I know, but we do.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone was so pissed that it was a cliffhanger, because they're like, I would have came back for Season 4 without a cliffhanger. Now I got to sit here all summer with this bullshit. People were mad.
Yeah. It's just... yeah. It's just funny because like Wrath of Khan saved Star Trek but also was incredible. Like it can be both. Because like 09 saved Star Trek and was god awful. You know.
Anywho.
Who's the final super chat, Stuart? Who gets that one full score on the end of season 3? Because we are right there.
I got some to read. Jeff Jacobs, $2. Watching it live, it's different, especially here. Jersey at $5. Picard's first log entry was December 28th. 2366. And Riker's last entry was December 31st around. Oh, so this is right after Christmas and before.
That actually rings a bell as well.
Before New Year's.
I think I've heard that. Yeah.
That's interesting.
3 days.
Yeah.
And Jill says, young people have no idea how absolutely terrifying the Borg were at this point in Trek. Thing is, they're more terrifying in First Contact. Like way more terrifying. These are completely ineffective Borg in comparison. You know, the creep factor, the effect
but in
factor,
comparison, we didn't have them to compare to. We didn't have the First Contact Board to compare them to at this point. No. They were scary. They were unknown.
Sure.
Just saying. Like I said,
show young people both,
and
like that, they're scarier. They're more effective.
Yeah, but there was no other thing to show them. There was just.
But they're saying to young people now. I'm saying if you show young people now, like the way the standard is, one is scary, one is a bit creepy.
But you'd have to show them.
All of Trek,
the first Borg encounter and stuff, and then Ozzy puts in $2. Commander, this episode came out in May 1990.
Ah, okay. Well, I was 1 year off. And it wasn't made a year earlier, because these things were made like 3 months earlier. They were like right on the edge there. Yeah.
Anywho, that's it, guys.
2009 wasn't god awful.
Yes, it was.
Have you seen it? Every scene has a plot hole. Like we watched it recently, like every single scene has massive plot problems. It's incredible. It's really incredible how bad that film is in terms of like actual plotting.
Anyway, guys, we're coming up on 3 hours. We got to call this, so I got to go.
All right. Well, have a great thing, Stuart. And if we are able to do part 2 on Monday, that's Patrick Stewart's birthday, which I think would be nice because that's the day, the episode that he chose to continue Star Trek and continue his legacy for another 10, 15 years. So if we can do part 2 on Monday, that's a celebration to Patrick Stewart's choosing to stay. What do you think?
That would be great.
There we go.
But we got to end this episode of Trekyards on a cliffhanger.
And tune in on Saturday for our Drunk Live. You'll see an announcement video at some point saying when. So tune in for that. Saturday, get drunk with us.
Well, that just killed my whole cliffhanger thing for this episode. See you on Saturday, guys.
Promotion.